And we are live.
Yes, that is correct. We are actually here. We are actually starting an hour later again, but you have tuned in correctly. This is a live broadcast of PM in the PM, Pong and Mav in the PM. We are back after what feels like 2 fucking years gone. But no, it's only been a couple weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it's been. Mav kind of figured it out, though, the way that we kind of had things going there. It's been like a month almost. But it's true. It's true. We are here. This is the real us. We have not used AI to recreate the program for tonight's showing. This is me and Mav. So we are back, everybody. Thank you all for joining us on, well, of course, if we're going to come back after a couple weeks off, of course, Thursday PM in the PM, of course it's going to be craziness. Of course we're going to have some nonsense yet again on another week after we've been off for a bit. So thank you all for joining us. Chat, you're looking amazing. I do have a special announcement real quick. Attention, ladies and gentlemen. Attention, ladies and gentlemen, aboard the Fun Speculation Hype Train. It has been a couple whiles since you heard this voice come overhead, but guess what, everybody? Normally we start out the show at a nice, easy Mach 2.0. That's right, the Fun Speculation Hype Train gets rolling at that Mach 2.0, but tonight we had the early drop-off. That's right, the one and only bold Alpha Wolf Pack, who comes through with a bag of coal. He gets on the court with the easy 5 layup. That's right. He gets us up to a nice Mach 2.5 to start the show after a couple of weeks off, thanks to the bold Alpha Wolfpack keeping us ad-free in 2024. Hashtag no beans. Oh, and just because we were gone, do you think I'm going to give you credit for your goal? You're wrong. Your goal still for this month is 6,325. That's right. You got a big number to make up for a couple of weeks, everybody, to keep this show ad-free. So thank you all for being here. Buckle up those 4-point harnesses. Get ready, because we got some things to get into. Choo-choo, motherfuckers. Choo-choo. Thank you for paying attention to the special announcement. And as always, pay attention to those screens overhead, as any of those announcements or warnings or whatever comes up during the show will be there for you all to follow. Man, it feels good to be back in the chair with my brother.
It's good, man.
It is good, man. It's been hellish. It's been everything in between, as always, in real life and everything else going on. But the one thing that I love is that I can come here and just escape and get away for a bit. So it does feel good. It feels good. It's been a minute. Thank you all, chat, for being here and joining us tonight. Before we get started, though, obviously, I got to get to the co-host with the most, the man, the CEO of the Fun Speculation Network, right? The man who almost decided to go on air tonight without a hat, and I talked him out of it because I said it would be too traumatic for the entire chat.
Yeah.
So he is here with a hat.
They don't want to see that.
They don't want to see it. They don't want to see Mav without a hat. So he swapped out the hat. He's looking cozy. It's been a minute. Missed you, brother. The one and only Fun Speculation, a.k.a. Mav. How the hell you been, man? What's been going on?
Man, it's been chill. It's been good. It's been work. It's been life. It's been things. We've had a like what I figured out has been 4 weeks between shows, because, you know, if you missed 2 weeks, you had the week before, then the week after, right? So it's been about a month since we've had a PM in the PM, and it's good to be back. Of course, we've had Xbox Ultimates and still been able to do those together, but you know, FSP we've had, but you know, we had the finals before for the Mavs, and I had to watch that, and then July 4th. The holiday. So, but yeah, we're back, and just like clockwork, Pong, kind of the day before we do a show, here's some news, right? It's just typical. They kind of waited for us to be able to have PM and the PM back, and we got something that we've been talking about for a while, speculating on, and yeah, I think it was either on PM and the PM or Ultimate before when we had these discussions, and we gave differing opinions, not really a debate, but just kind of speculated on what our thoughts were about the possibilities of when this news was going to come down. And turns out Pong Soul was the correct one. Pong Soul nailed it about the timing of when all this was going to go down. And We have had the official Xbox Game Pass price increase, but even more so surprising, some actual changes that I think are interesting. But we'll get into all of that here in a little bit. But yeah, other than that, man, it's been good. I've been still dabbling in First Descendant here and there.
Ooh,
I'm
good,
like a
good.
level getting close to 30, I think, with what's her name?
Which one?
The first
Yeah,
Frost lady.
Ice.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Viesa, Viesa. Yeah. I'm in
Speaking
like
of
the
First
fourth or
Descendant,
fifth area.
changing hearts and minds out here, by the way, too, man.
Yeah. See, like a complete 180s, man. Complete
I love it.
180s on this game.
Mm.
Yeah, it's
Guessing up in their feels.
yeah,
Woo.
it's been interesting to see kind of like a lot of the conversations about that game. Other than that, been kind of like grazing this and that between um I've played a little Age of Empires, been playing a little bit of Halo Wars, been playing a little bit of
Woo-wee.
Street Fighter 6, a little bit of just a little bit of everything. I've been in that like grazer mentality, kind of like getting ready for the insane amount of games about to hit Game Pass Ultimate on day one, the coming
Say that now.
coming this year.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, we have to add the asterisk at the end now when we say that, because we don't want any confusion or marketing errors, right?
Or we have to go through the whole 3 pages of explanation of what this
Right.
all means.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because if you're still subscribed to console, you still get the day one as long as you stay
Yeah.
subscribed. You still you're grandfathered in. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah, we're still good over here getting our grandfathered in deals. I am jealous sometimes when I meet like an 80-year-old person and they're grandfathered into like a old
Yeah,
insurance policy or something. They have like a $250 deductible or or like, yeah, I was grandfathered into my cable plan back in 1985 and it's $15 a month, unlimited. And it's what? Um Some people know how to work the system, man. Some people know how to work the system. But yeah, I think there'll be some 60-year-olds out there, 70, 80-year-olds, and 20, 30 years from now being like, I'm glad I never canceled my Game Pass subscription.
this guy right here.
I'm glad I never let it go under, because I'm still grandfathered in. I'm still getting all these Game Pass games day and date. Man, I made the right decision.
$150 a month. I'm paying $20.
Yeah, I'm loaded up till 2085.
Oh, man.
Then you'll have like these kids. Well, I'm paying $50 a month, man. What's going on?
Yep.
Yeah, I think everything, like, there's been a lot of overblown stuff. There's been a lot of underblown stuff. There's a little bit of both, and I'm kind of in the middle on things. It's just more interesting. And I'm critical of some decisions they make, but ultimately it's not like affecting me really too much. So yeah, we'll get into that for sure. But yeah, dude, what have you been up to? What have you been playing? You've been grazing the shelves of your game catalog, or you just been First Descending still? How many characters do you have level 40?
I've only got 140. I've
Okay.
got 2 others that are 30 plus. So I've got 2 others that are 30 plus now.
I haven't real quick,
Yeah.
I haven't done the like to get the materials to craft the other descendants. I haven't.
Yeah.
I miss out on the material whenever I do the quest or whatever. So like I haven't farmed them to be able to get the other ones yet. So I only have 2. I have Viesa and Bunny. But
Okay. I had purchased Freya, right?
Right.
So I purchased her up front, knowing that I was going to run her for a little bit. So yeah, no, I haven't been playing as much. Obviously, my schedule's changed again, getting back in the gym and all that kind of stuff. Sleep schedule's getting earlier, but when I've had time to do stuff, it has been mostly First Descendant, dabbling of other, just small games, easy games, just pop in, pop out of. I can't wait to try Neon White, by the way, which dropped in the Game Pass today. I want to try that as a runner. But yeah, no, it's been First Descendant. Steel just beat the normal mode today. I was way ahead of him because he had to work nights last week. This is his week off, so now he's surpassed me yet again. Whatever, dude's crazy. So I did have a night with him and his brother Titanium, and we ran. Titanium actually clued me in on, as of right now, don't know if they're going to patch it, but there is a one of the special operations missions that you can run out of what is it? Oh God, Kingston.
Mm-hmm.
The special operations, once you open up Kingston, once you beat Kingston, the special operations missions opens up in each area. You can run these special missions, and they're basically like waves. Okay, you get bigger rewards the more waves you guys get through.
Okay.
This one in Kingston is a defense one, super high EXP, super high XP through this. For some reason, this special operations mission works wonders. So, and I had one of the bonuses still active for a couple days this week on Monday and Tuesday that they had given us for the problems they had. So I still had that active, that 30%. But I took, I got pissed off. I'll tell you guys a short story. You guys might have heard this one already. The bosses, right? So the Devourer, I put out a post a week ago saying, fuck this guy all the way back to hell, because it took 2 hours of running with randos to finally beat the guy. Now I'm stuck on Pyromaniac. This guy can go to hell with Devourer, okay? This guy he's not as hard because he doesn't have healing like the Devourer did. But unfortunately, when I started running him, nobody knew how to beat him, so I was showing up every single time and getting 2 bunnies in my team with no defense mods upgraded, with nothing. They were dying within 2 seconds. Okay, so this was pissing me off. And he's weak against ice, of course. So I was running Freya and getting her leveled up. Well, then after I learned this little trick, I was like, well, screw it. I'm done with this dude. I'm going to get Viessa powered up because I will be one of the Ice Queens showing up in this Pyromaniac to destroy him, okay? So I started running this mission. Again, it's in Kingston. It's the Defense Special Operations mission. Took her from, let's see, I jumped in there, I think, at level 8. I took her to 20 within a matter of an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. Not even an hour and a half. It was like an hour, right? And then I took her from 20 to 30 in about 45 minutes on the next run I did of that mission. So that is a great place. Even without my bonus XP, it's still a great place to go level up your new characters. Because when you do swap characters, obviously you've already probably seen it, Mav. You carry over all your guns, you carry over all your mods. Everything else is leveled up. You don't have to worry about anything other than getting their levels up, so their powers.
Yeah, the mastery ranks and stuff. Yeah,
the mastery ranks and stuff. So yeah, so I've been doing that. Almost had Pyromaniac beat last night. I did a quick run last night before I had to go to bed. Decided to run. I made 2 runs with randos. First time was shit, as usual. Second time, had him down to literally 10% of his health left. We still had over a minute to go. Could have easily beat him. We had 2 VSs, myself and another, and fucking one bunny in the group dies with our single life left.
Oh, yeah.
So loving the First Descendant like a lot of people are. Again, this game is just one of those games I have no idea why. This game has not been promoted as a Destiny killer. This game has not been promoted anything other than a cool free-to-play game that came out that some of us were aware of for a long time when we first saw the trailer. But for some reason, this community, big portions of the media decided that this was the game we were going to take down this month. Like, I don't know why, but like I was hinting at when I said that to Mav, if you all weren't paying attention, there's been some people who've changed their mind. The biggest one being Paul Tassi, because the Destiny kids are up in their feels about this game. The Destiny kids want to compare this game to their game that has been around for over a decade, which makes zero fucking sense yet again. Why we do this, I have no idea. Oh, this game just came out a week ago and it doesn't have all the features of my 10-year-old game has? Oh, it sucks. What the fuck are we doing? Okay? Yeah. This is not how any of this works. The base of the First Descendant is better than what Warframe was when it first came out. It is better than overall, in my opinion, than what Destiny was when Destiny 1 came out. The base of this game is much better built than any of those games. So let's give it some breathing room. But no, we can't do that. Ty Guy Travis got to play for 130 hours and give it a 5. Whatever. But Paul Tassi wrote a scathing article on it as well. But he came out on Twitter this week on X and said, Did a 180 on this entire game, and he's hooked.
Yeah.
He's a dick. Gotta love it, man. Gotta love it.
Yeah, it's
There
like
is something
good
super cool.
gameplay and mechanics and fun systems and guns and stuff would matter, you know? Like
But you can farm, Mav. And it really pressures you because you gotta wait to craft things, to pay money, to speed. They pressure you, Mav. Video games pressuring me. God damn, man. Yo, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Again, but Steele and I had 3-hour conversation nearly last week, 2-hour conversation on Living Split Screen. Yes, the monetization is aggressive. Of course it is. Is it egregious compared to other things that we've seen? No, it's not. It's in line with Warframe.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay, don't spend the money. You don't have to spend a dime, and you can play hundreds of hours of this game. If the farming isn't for you, if the repetitive missions, because that's what you do in these games, same as fucking Diablo. Ask me how many main missions I ran in Diablo because I completed the campaign versus how many fucking Hell Tides I've run.
Yeah.
Go ahead and
it's a
ask me.
$70 full price game too. Right?
And it's a $70 full price game, but that's farming. That's the part of looters. People act like they've never played.
And you're going to be doing a hell of a lot of this in Path of Exile when it comes out. Also,
you are. And again, it's okay if you don't like these types of games. You don't have to like this game. I totally get it. If it's just not up your alley, it's not up your alley. But to sit here and act like this game is doing something crazy that every other looter shooter hasn't been doing for the past decade, that's nuts to me. So anyways, enjoying the hell out of First Descendant. We'll have it downloaded. We'll keep playing it. Got to catch up to Steel. I'm probably going to have Steel obviously put me in his backpack and carry me around for a little bit now that he has beat the normal, because now it's time to start farming the hard. I got to get to the hard, because the hard is where the real loot starts dropping. The hard is where you really start gaining. So I got to get there. So I'm probably going to have him help me do that. But yeah, no, that's been about it. Like I said, I'm looking forward to trying some Neon White when I get a chance, because that just dropped in the Game Pass today. Otherwise, it's been Age of Empires like you, Mav. Again, love Age of Empires 4. It's just my chill way to go down before
keep a skirmish going and kind of dive back into it here and there, do a different one. So good. Yeah,
it's so good, bro. It's so good. So just been doing that. Not a whole lot of other exciting stuff. So yeah, that's been my life. First Descendant for the most part, because it is a freaking great game and I enjoy the hell out of that loop, man. And the shooting is, I will say it again. The more hours I put into it, all the weapons I've tried, I'll put it up there with any other third-person shooter. I will line it up with any other third-person shooter as far as satisfaction goes, as far as the feel the guns go, as far as the actual aiming goes, like hit detection. I will put it up there with any third person.
I kind of like the bosses too, man.
The bosses are dope. The bosses remind me kind of like almost like a Monster Hunter type boss or a Souls boss, where you got to learn the patterns. Some of them you definitely have to have teamwork, otherwise you're effed. So I definitely love the bosses. The bosses feel different from each other. They can be annoying. They can frustrate the hell out of you, but they are very satisfying to beat as well.
Yeah, I like the cover that you can get around those pillars and stuff, and then they'll get destroyed, you know? Like, so you're constantly kind of having to move around and coordinate and focus. When they focus on you, you know, you can kind of like escape or run, and then there's like target points on the bosses too, and I think it's different, susceptible to different weapons and stuff. Ammunition becomes a task and hard to come by on the bosses, because you start to run out, and it's not all constantly that you're able to pick up ammo, right?
Only
when you're in a boss fight.
Only the ads will give it to you.
Yeah,
so you gotta
exactly.
Yep.
So there's a lot of cool stuff there. The last boss I played was the night before last, was the Executioner.
Okay.
So I think he's the third Colossus.
Probably the third.
Yeah, I think
I think no, he's the third.
Yeah, he's the third, and I just unlocked a new area I haven't visited yet.
Nice.
After him, I like that each main area has like different zones with a bunch of different missions. Yeah, they are kind of repetitive, but that's kind of par for the course for looters in general in this genre. You still get that with every major game like this, you know. So but I'm still coming across new missions too that I haven't come across yet, you know. That's add a little bit. I love still the just playing with randoms where it just quickly matches up, and I
Yep.
just kind of like do the mission with them, never see them again. All right, have a nice fuck off day.
Yep.
You know, like
Thank you.
thanks. You know, take it
Thanks.
easy, bro,
Yep.
and go
Or you
from
get in the
there.
pattern where you start following someone around because they're on the
Yeah.
same kind of loop you are, and you start following
So
them
you
around.
just go
And
around to mission to
them.
mission. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
There's still
Amazing.
some of the systems I need to learn, but overall it's been pretty simple, even
Mhm.
for me, to pick up
Sweet.
on the location of some of the items you need to upgrade are in a good place comparative to the other, like I forget her name, the one where you can research the descendants and everything. It starts with an A. Close to that is also the weapon upgrade area,
Yep.
the weapon salvage area, right?
Mhm.
Then you have in the other area you have your mastery rank up, which is close to the mailbox and close to like some of the other things that you have to do. It's just pretty simple and straightforward and easy to understand. All the systems, upgrading your weapons or keeping or salvaging weapons, equipping your skills, upgrading, salvaging skills, the way you put the different modifiers on each weapon, plus also your descendant as well.
Yep.
There's like the point allocation system that's easy to understand, and you can only have like one of each kind. So like, there's just a lot of intuitive, simple things here that they make it to where somebody like me who skips all this shit and tutorials and doesn't read anything, can actually just look at it and be like, okay, this makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, because like
Yeah.
if there's so many of these kinds of games, if I step away from, or I go away from, and I dive back in for the first time, it's like, where do I go? What the fuck do I do? How do I get there? They don't explain anything, you know. And this one, it just, there's none of those obstacles or whatever. So I think it's going to be something that's easy for people to dive back into from being away from for long periods of time, you know. Which is pretty cool because that's how I play a lot of these games, and they get intimidating to me when I come back, and I just like, okay, fuck this. I'm just like not even gonna bother, right? But like this one,
Yeah.
I have a feeling is gonna be maintain that simple nature. So yeah, but fun gameplay, man, and it can't get hard as well. Like,
It's gets very challenging.
so yeah,
Gets very
I'm
challenging.
appreciating it. I'm not playing it as hardcore as you or Steel or anybody, but um, overall, it's been kind of my main game that I've been diving into the last week or so.
It's just great to get a game that comes out, man. With they had a couple problems in the first day or two, but they got them all smoothed out. But a game like this, Unreal Engine 5, coming out on consoles everywhere, all at one time, cross play,
Yeah,
cross save, cross progression. It works flawlessly. I've been playing both PC and Series X, no issues. Although I did have one issue where, for whatever reason, my Descendants mods were not on when I went back, which was weird. But it could have been me thing. I might have clicked the button and by accident and removed them all. I don't know. But
hmm
for a game like this to come out, again, free to play, to have it this polished out the gate, the again, everything that we've seen problems with, from full price games to free to play games, to have another one drop in that just works, and that is just, again, is it
yeah,
perfect? No, of course not. It's not perfect. But to come out with a brand new IP, right? Obviously taking from a lot of different games, but doing so well that you've got actual people who have thousands of hours in Warframe and Destiny saying, it's pretty damn good. I
yeah,
know
pretty fun.
they've got something here. Like they're like, seriously, like, I can't wait to see where the team goes with this. They've got a roadmap already. We know what we're getting. They seem to be listening already to people. They obviously gave out rewards to everybody for the problems, again repaying back the community and saying sorry. They did that right away without questions asked, just said, hey, we'll take care of it, sorry about this, here you go, here, have a bunch of big XP, have a bunch of more gold and all that kind of stuff, and just gave it out. Again, it's refreshing to see this, and I think it should be praised, and I think it should be rewarded. I've seen people out here going, oh, all these First Descendant defenders and stuff. Bro, what are you supposed to do when you like something? Like, if you enjoy
Yeah,
something and you like something and you feel that you're having a great time, are you supposed to sit back and just say, it's an okay game? Like Jasper, you're just supposed to say, it's okay. No, we're going to talk about it because we think it's great. And if there's a bunch of people that don't like it, that is fine. Some of it, again, I think is over the top hate. Some of it is Destiny 2 players all up in their feels because they don't want another game coming in. Like you can kind of see it, but whatever the reasons, right? Of course, we're going to come out and praise the game because we're having a fucking blast with it. Again, I don't sit down with every single game that comes out, whether I pay for it or whether it's free to play, and put in nearly 30 hours in a weekend. Like that's not every game. So yeah, I'm having a great time with the game. I'm going to talk about it and praise it because it is. Again, I could sit here and give you all the little nitpicks. They've got things to work on. They're going to, but I'm going to let it breathe. Like they did a great job with the launch so far. They got a great, bigger, more than a base than some games ever get. I actually think they got some of the framework up at this point. So now I can't wait to see where they take it, man. I want to see this roadmap fill out and I want to see what happens with it. But it's a cool ass game. I flipped them the money, flipped them the $70 out the gate within 2 hours. I feel that this game is worthy of everything. And it's in a year where we have plenty of shit to play. This is not just because there's nothing else to play. This game is actually pretty damn impressive to me, to Matt, to others who are putting the time in. So yeah, we're going to come out and talk about it like that, man. Great game. Great game. Man, oh man, we got Brandon Martin coming down in here. What's up, Brandon? Says $2 super chat, says go Birds. Go Birds. Let's go Birds. Let's get to
Appreciate you, Brandon.
Yeah, appreciate it so much, Brandon. Let's get to the chat real quick. Let's get everybody shouted out, and then we'll get into what are you laughing about?
Something on Twitter.
Oh God.
Yeah, this is some random thing. Well, it was like shout out to Flint Dog who had made a joke post or whatever saying we need fake outrage about like Costco's membership hike for their pricing for or whatever. And I was like, I'll be upset when they decide to only let me buy 6 to 12 month old food with my subscription. You know, damn you, Costco. Like, I'm just joking. And somebody actually screenshotted,
of course,
the Costco membership plans. Somebody actually screenshotted the actual Costco membership plans and the pricing and stuff to like show, I guess, to show me that you can buy fresh foods. I don't fucking know. It's like the screenshotting Costco's fucking price memberships for their like I'm so confused, bro.
Bro, people and the internet cuts both ways, and it gives access to people who should have a license to be on social media because they understand.
Yeah,
they live in a different reality. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I know that sometimes jokes go over people's heads and stuff, but sometimes like they're so blatantly obvious, right? Like,
yes, right. It's over the top that it should be. Like,
yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah. Anyway,
unbelievable, Caitlin. It is. The game is free, but I bought coins because again, it's monetized, so I can get different outfits and stuff. And I bought outfit for one of the girls. I've still got like 2,000 of my coins left, but I flipped them $70 up front for the 3,000 package coins. So, yeah, no, it is free. You can play hundreds of hours with nothing. You don't ever have to buy a thing in this. It's all cosmetic or boost. So if you really want to boost. So, let's get to this beautiful.
Yeah. It's just the game pressures you so much, babe. It's just like so many obstacles.
Oh my God, I can't handle it. Just can't handle it nowadays. Let's see here. We got the one and only Miss Beautiful Caitlin in the house, of course. Awesome job on the thumbnail. I didn't even know if Mav saw it because he asked me early. I was busy at work, and then I finally got around to telling him what it was. He never even gave me an indication that he saw it. I'm like, well, we're going to see what Caitlin comes up with. And of course, she shows up with my idea. Thank you, Caitlin. It's freaking amazing as always. We got the one and only Dr. Dinglenut. No, Dr. Dinglenut. I did consider the maid outfit. I'm not going to lie. Everybody knows I like my waifus. Okay. I'm not going to lie. Like me some fan service. So I saw the maid outfits. But there is also this thing with me with certain games that I look at outfits or craziness and I go, it just really doesn't fit the atmosphere. I can't imagine running around the First Descendant in a maid outfit. Okay? Like I can't. I've thought about it. I've considered it again for a couple of the other girls, Freyna, excuse me, or Viessa. But overall, I did not choose to go to the maid outfit this time. So no. And when I see people running around, I laugh my ass off. But anyways.
It'd be nice if you could actually like clean. It's called Albion, right? Albion, like Fable.
Yeah,
I think.
Albion's the hub city, correct?
Yeah, Albion. That's right. Yeah, it'd be nice if you could just go clean around with your maid outfit.
Yes. Yeah. No, it would be fantastic, but that's not what happens. But
okay.
The legs are nice. They do show off a lot of leg with that maid outfit. Anyways, so no, but I'm looking pretty clean. I like my look now, so we're gonna keep rolling with that, especially on Sharon. So Sharon was my original, and she's the one I got to 40. So let's see who else we got here. We got the one and only Talos Ray in the house. What's up, Talos Ray? Thank you for dropping on in here. Appreciate you again. The aforementioned Brandon Martin came on through with that $2 super chat. Thank you, Brandon. We got the Matt McDonald Media. What's going on? Matt McDonald said, why did IGN give it a 5 out of 10? Basically, Ty Guy said he played for 130 hours and the game just turned out to be mediocre to him with too many problems. It was too repetitive. Again, this is coming from a Destiny guy. Too repetitive, just didn't have enough to it, and it could be confusing, and he hated the story. So he gave it a 5 out of 10, which according to IGN is mediocre. Okay, so whatever. Again, whatever. Like Steel said, 130 hours on a 5 out of 10 game. Really? Okay. All right. Whatever.
If anybody ever like actually puts any stock into any of IGN's reviews ever, like you're not doing yourself a service.
Nope, you can't really.
That's been proven over this generation more than any other time, bro. Like
beyond.
Yes.
Beyond. But anyways, again,
ridiculous stuff.
My main point from the beginning, Mav, it's a free to fucking play game. Don't listen to us. Don't listen to any reviewers. Unless you have to pay for downloading on your internet, which I know some people still do. Unless that's the case, download the friggin' game, fire it up, play for about an hour, and figure out if the game's for you. And if it's not, uninstall it. Just like Game Pass, no risk. Just do it. Just see if it's a game for you. You might be surprised one way or the other, right? You might think you really like it, but you wind up not liking it. Or you think, oh, this game's not for me, but you try it out and it's like, oh shit, I kind of like this loop. I like the characters. And all of a sudden you got a new game. It's free to fucking play. Just download it. Try it. Don't listen to anybody. That's what I would do. Who else we got in here? We got the one and only Brett Bingham. Yes, Brett Bingham says, I'm stuck on the Devourer boss battle. Bro, 2 hours straight. I'm not joking. Not doing anything else. 2 hours. Run, die, go back to Albion, head straight to what's-his-face, start again, run, die, straight back to Albion. All I freaking did. That's all I freaking did. Trying to find a team who understood basic directions. Because again, even though it does take teamwork, it's pretty obvious what you have to do to beat the Devourer when he's healing. Like, it's pretty obvious that you have to get rid of the healing very quickly. So you kind of have to spread out, and you guys have to make it work and crush the ads that he's healing from. Like, it's like, anyways, yes, I feel your pain, Brett. It's not easy, bro. Calorie, what's going on, Calorie? Love to see in here. He says, knowing to me to have to add the modular things to the gun each time I use an upgrade after every mission. Have to add, okay. So the modules, if you're using the same type of weapon, though, the modules are automatically on there when you switch it over. So I'm not quite sure what you're having to add modules to each gun each time I use an upgrade.
I mean, when he changes guns.
When you change the level, well, yeah, but even then, if you go back, if you use the same type of
Right.
gun again, like they're there, the ones that you had on from before, like they're there, like that. That was one of the things I pointed out. Like, unless you're talking about, are you upgrading your level of your gun every single time? Maybe then it does take away the modules. I can't remember. I don't do it very often. I only do it once every like 12, 15 levels if there's a gun I really enjoy. I don't do it after every time. But anyways, Calorie, great to see you, brother. Glad to have you in here. Back from the dead is in here. He's been enjoying himself a little. First Descendant as well. Back from the dead. Always good to see you, brother. Who else we got in here? We got brother Psychonauts. Age of Mythology Retold Beta is tomorrow. That's right. And they did confirm if you are going to purchase the upgrade on through Game Pass for Age of Mythology. If you're going to purchase the upgrade for the premium, you will also get into that beta. So you don't have to just buy the big edition and that's it. You still keep the Game Pass edition, just buy the premium upgrade and you're good to go. You can play the beta this weekend. So don't know if I'm going to hop in yet. Haven't decided. I really don't need to be sold on the game. I'm all in, don't care. Like, it's like, I'm done. Like, Age of Mythology is one of my most anticipated games this year. Don't really need to jump into it, and I've got so much to play, but we'll see. Maybe I wind up doing it. Who else we got in here? The Bold Alpha Wolf Pack, who got us a Mach 2.5 early. Choo-choo, motherfucker. Great to see you, brother. The BT Maverick 707 jumping on in here. What's going on, BT Maverick? Who else? We got who else? Nate Dogg, of course, is in the house. What's up, Nate Dogg? Great to see you, man, sliding on through. We got the Snooky Jackson in the house. What's going on, Snooky? Always good to have you a part of the show. We got the Herd Theorem in the house. What's up, Herd? Great to see you. We got Cullen Prime in here. What's going on, Cullen Prime? We got Spiton 13. What is going on, Spiton? Great to see you in here. We got the one and only Web Dave joining us this evening. Web Dave is in the house, everybody. Dave, what's going on, brother? Great to see you, man. Thanks for dropping in here. Who else we got in the house? We got Scorpio in here. What's up, Scorpio? We got Moggs E in here. What's up, Moggs? Always good to see you. We got the Magnum in the house. What's up, Magnum? We got Acute Perspective. What's going on? Salute to you, Acute Perspective. Thanks for dropping in here and saying hi, man. Appreciate you. We got the Rob C joining us this evening. Thank you for being a part of the show, Rob C. Who else? I'm all the way up. Masshole 1977. He dropped in here. He's the first one I can see. And he said, nerds. I appreciate that, Masshole 1977. That is a compliment to me. So I will take that. Thank you, Masshole. We got Prince Green in the house. What's up, Prince Green? Always great to see you. Who else? Let's see if anybody dropped in the bottom that I missed. Truth Serum. What's going on, Truth? Let's see here. We got God Emperor Sofa King, of course, dropping through here. What's up, God Emperor? We got King Styles in the house. What's going on, King? Thank you all you beautiful people. I know it's been a while since Mav and I had a PM in the PM, so appreciate you all rolling on through here. And it's good to be back. And I know we're starting an hour late. We got other shows around us when we do this, but appreciate you all taking any amount of time, 5 minutes or the entire show, to be with me and Mav tonight and to listen to our nonsense and join on in. So thank you for all of you. Nothing but love and respect, as always. That is from the bottom of my heart, and I mean it every single time. All right, Mav, we must all hop into it. I got a hard out at 10 o'clock, just so everybody knows. Not a hard on, a hard out at 10 o'clock. Yep. No,
I'm glad.
Make that clear. Okay. I wanted to make that clear because I know somebody would have said, "What'd you just say?"
Well, I mean, if you were you were going to have that at 10 o'clock, then dude, there would be scheduled something. So like,
yes. but hard again, out. I didn't want to see. I didn't want to see anybody go, "What'd you just say?" So, anyways, a hard out at 10 o'clock.
I don't think anybody was thinking that until you made the correction.
Bullshit. This is our chat, brother. This is This is the Fun Speculation Network. Are you kidding me? They have been trained to hear the worst of the worst from everybody, okay? I know people were thinking instantaneously. Anyways.
That's true.
Let's get in the main topic.
I actually was. I was.
Oh, my God. Anyways, pause, and more pause. I heard I was lurking in your little Mav rant. I didn't get to hear the whole thing. Your Mav cast on this topic. So I know you've kind of broke it down when it originally dropped the information. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Game Pass stuff here,
Yeah.
folks. And I'm not going to re-break down what's been broken down a billion times. Again, it's kind of boring to me at this point because it is something that most of us expected. I don't know what to tell you if you didn't expect this to happen at some point. Again, I don't agree with it. Mav and I talked about this on a PM in the PM months ago when he mentioned in his intro. We talked about it with the family. We talked about it in the lead up to the showcase of when we thought things could happen because we were talking about ABK, the back catalog dropping in, what that would look like, COD, when we were going to get that announcement. Then the price increase. The Game Pass was probably coming. We had this conversation, Mav. As I said then, I am never going to defend on any given day one of the two richest companies in the entire world that's worth over $2 trillion depending on the day. I'm never going to defend the company when they raise prices for the consumers.
Yeah.
And I don't care if Xbox is considered a separate company. I get that. It's underneath Microsoft. Microsoft itself is a $1 billion company. I'm never going to say it's okay for $1 billion companies to pass on spending to the consumers. I don't care what anybody else is doing. I don't care what any other companies are doing. Even if it's a well-known thing for subscriptions, I am never going to come on and cheer this on. You will never hear me, by the way, as well, to one side, a group of people in the one side of things who actually were and have publicly cheered on that they would spend $100 per game if it's PlayStation making those games. You guys are instantly out of any conversation that has to do with this at all, okay? You guys have nothing to say ever again about price increases, no matter what company does it in this industry ever again. You guys automatically nix yourself. Anybody cheering for price increases as a consumer, you are automatically out of this conversation, okay? You have nothing to say, okay? I have never been that dude. We've done this before through a lot of different price increases. And so I will once again state for the record that I'm against any price increase, whether it's 50 cents, $3, $30, $100. I don't care. The companies are bragging quarterly about record profits. Record profits.
The industry's in trouble, Pong.
When you do that, I don't want to hear that you need to do this. I don't want to hear that you need to do this. I don't want to hear any of this. When you are in court and they bring up the fact that this ABK deal is going to cause you to raise the price of Game Pass, and you sit up on the stand under oath and say, oh, no, that would be crazy talk. That would cause too much churn if we start raising the price on Game Pass. We're never going to raise the price of Game Pass because of ABK. And then, less than a year after the deal closes, you raise the price of Game Pass after you announce Call of Duty coming to Game Pass, after we know there was a discussion of whether or not that was going to happen. I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit back and say, oh, it's okay. I am a mature adult most of the time, okay? I've gotten to the point in my life where I can hold two competing ideas in my head at the same time. There's a large portion of this community and just in general of people that don't seem to be able to do this conceptually. I can hold both the opinion that this is absolutely wrong, that this company should never raise the prices, that I don't care what you want to say about inflation. I don't care what you want to say about any of the spending that you think that you're doing or the costs or whatever the case may be. If you're making record profits, I'm never going to say a company should continue to raise their prices against their consumers. I can also hold the thought at the same time that this is big business, as you guys have heard me talk about. That the reason why this game industry is as big as it is, the reason why we're in the golden age of gaming, is because there's money involved, lots of money involved. And that's what these companies are all about. And this is a publicly traded company in which the actual shareholders are the ones that drive much of the decisions that go into stuff like this. And that on the other side, my other thought, when I look at it and everybody goes, oh, so it's $2, $3, fuck cares, it's fine. I can flip that and look at Microsoft and Xbox and go, Why do they need the extra $2 to $3 from me? Who's $2 or $3 is a little bit more valuable to them? Well, probably the consumer, because we're not billionaires, we're not trillionaire companies, right? So I can flip that argument. But again, on the other side, my competing side, I can go, yeah, it's the shareholders. They demand more and more and more. They've seen you drop an instant, huge selling game into your subscription service, which obviously does eat up some of the profits for that game that they did pay $70 billion for as part of the ABK package. It does eat into those profits that were yearly for Activision. If you're going to drop it into a service, and even if you're not pulling people away from PlayStation in droves to come over to Xbox to buy Game Pass, right? Well, those millions of people, 20 million people that are in your Game Pass, 30 million people that are in Game Pass already in the Xbox ecosystem, chances are a large percentage of them are going to play Call of Duty through Game Pass, which means they're not going to buy that Call of Duty this year. So as a shareholder, I can understand. As a CEO of Microsoft and Satya Nadella, I can understand that $2 to $3 per customer, per Game Pass Ultimate subscriber is going to make a difference. So I can hold those two competing things, but I'm not going to sit here and cheer for it. I'm not going to sit here and say it's okay. It's not okay. Right? It's not okay. But I'm also not going to come on to the show, and I'm taking over right here because Mav kind of had a show. I'm going to have him reassess where he's at with this because he's had a couple days to think about this since his Mavcast as well. But I'm also not going to come on a show like this, as you guys all know, and bullshit you. And I'm not going to come on a show and throw up pitchforks and torches and talk about how I'm canceling my Game Pass subscription service, my Game Pass Ultimate, because this is just the line and they cross it. And I'm not going to pay $20 a month for my Ultimate, even though I don't do that anyways. I'm not going to pay the $20 for my Ultimate, and I'm going to stand on principle and cancel my subscription because screw Xbox, screw Microsoft. They did everybody dirty here. I'm not going to come on here and lie to you guys like that when you damn well have heard me before say I'm riding this thing till the wheels fall off. And I've damn well sure have come on here and said $20 wouldn't be too much for me. $25 probably wouldn't be too much for me. $30, I'd start looking at it, but probably wouldn't be too much, especially if they're going to have the cadence of new first-party games that they're having come out. Because for me, and this is what it comes down to for everybody, for me as the consumer, this is still valuable. So I'm not going to come on here and throw up pitchforks and torches over this because I'd be lying if I tried to sit here and try to tell you that I'm canceling Game Pass and the next week I come on PM in the PM and tell you how I played Neon White in Game Pass. Like, I'm just not going to do that, okay? But I don't agree with it, and I'm not going to support it, and I think it's bullshit, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Yep.
Mav, give me your overall thoughts. I kind of gave my overall thoughts. We can kind of break it down, obviously, because I think listening to you the other night, first of all, also, folks, if you plan on me, I don't know if Mav's going to do it, but for me, I don't need to bring PlayStation into this equation at all. Okay. I'll keep it short and sweet on the PlayStation Plus argument and everybody saying, oh, where's the media on the PlayStation Plus increase and all that kind of stuff. That shows you how unserious PlayStation Plus is. That shows you how little people care about PlayStation Plus. I could care less that the media didn't go after Sony. Sony never promoted PlayStation Plus as one of the main vehicles for their ecosystem like Xbox did. Never once. And everybody knows that it's not competing with Game Pass because they don't do day and date, because they give their people most of the time old games in that service. They do very little deals to have new games into PlayStation Plus Premium. Yes, every once in a while there is one. That service is set up for the people who want to go back and play PlayStation 1 games, PlayStation 2 games. That's what that service is set up for. And the occasional good game that drops in there that's probably a year, 2 years, 3 years old already. That's probably already been on Game Pass too, by the way. Sometimes they do get new games. They've tried other things with Horizon and that kind of stuff being in there, but they pull them. So PlayStation Plus Premium has never been taken seriously because Sony has never claimed that they were going to run their ecosystem or a large portion of their ecosystem was going to be dependent upon Game Pass the way that Xbox sold theirs as a main access point, as something that they were going to try to get 50 to 100 million people plus into Game Pass. PlayStation never did that. So I really don't care that the media never covered it because it just shows, once again, what a joke PlayStation Plus is. Nobody cared. Nobody cares. But when Xbox does do it, because of how synonymous Game Pass now is with the Xbox brand, yeah, there's going to be extra spotlight on it, right? There's going to be, whether I agree with the overall sentiment being written out there or not, there's going to be extra. There's going to be a little extra. So anyways, Mav, you've had a couple days to sit on this thing. What are you thinking overall here? And again, if you want to start breaking it down, you know, with the standard, the console, and of course the ultimate changes and the PC Game Pass changes, I think there's some interesting conversations I do want to have with you that I've been thinking about in regards to just the big picture of these changes and what they're saying to me too, as far as strategy going forward. But I want to get your just overall thoughts now that you kind of sat on this for a couple days.
Yeah, I mean, I not surprised of a price increase. First off, like, I mean, I think nobody is really surprised about it. Not happy about it either. I'm not going to celebrate or defend Microsoft. This is not a necessity. Whenever these big companies or publishers out, and like I said, when they went up from $60 to $70, they didn't need to, right? They don't need the extra $3 for everybody for Game Pass Ultimate. They didn't need to take away day and date from standard. They didn't need to do those things because they're already okay, right? And they're already growing and they're already profitable and stuff like that. This is about being more profitable. This is about making more money. This is about all those kind of things, about what their vision is for the future and trying to maximize the potential of their business and all those kind of things. And sometimes little dollars makes a difference to their bottom line in a positive way is what they see, and they make these decisions. And I will say, usually in these cases, I think it's the wrong decision. However, it's not like a pitchfork thing for me. I'm not like going crazy upset about it because for me, the impact is $3 a month for my Game Pass Ultimate subscription because I'm an Ultimate member. I expected the price to go up at some point anyway. We've been getting a crazy overvalue for so long that like we knew kind of they were in this like acquisition phase, being hyper competitive for so long. This for me more is like them settling in to like kind of evolving past that to kind of, this is the structure we're going with now, that we're kind of moving past the hyper aggressiveness, and now they're focusing on, hopefully the library is going to be the attractive point for people to access, not the over aggressive value, right? And that's the kind of a transition that we're seeing now with Game Pass, and we're going to see that continue to evolve and stuff. I think a lot of overreactions from the media and stuff about them just kind of moving on from Game Pass as a big strategy for them and all that kind of stuff. I think there's some not real motivation there from Xbox. I think it's still a core part of their pillar of their ecosystems going forward. It's maybe not going to be the 150 million plus or whatever they wanted to get to begin with, so they're kind of understanding that, and they're kind of meeting where the model is and kind of grow slowly from there instead of the hyper aggressiveness. So that's kind of what I see where they're at. I think a lot of these games and the other access points they keep moving to are going to still help them grow with Game Pass. I think Ultimate is obviously the tier that most people are going to be attracted to. Unless you just don't care about Game Pass and you just have to have online, then you get Game Pass Core. I have a lot of other thoughts I kind of broke down in Mavcast about online and having to still pay for that and stuff, and like how I think the structure should be modeled instead of the way that this is. I don't think it's ideal. I think the standard tier is stupid. It doesn't, like, really, if you really think about it, like, they're in some ways they tarnish I made a tweet the other day about like Game Pass Ultimate for those tiers. Obviously PC Game Pass still exists, right? But for the tiers on console or whatever, Game Pass Ultimate is really, for me, the only one worthy of the name Game Pass, because they've always marketed Game Pass as a day and date first party thing, right? All the commercials, all the advertising, play day one on Xbox Game Pass, play day one on Xbox Game Pass, play day one on Game Pass, you know? And, well, the only tier that's true for on consoles is Ultimate. Now, the Game Pass Core is really just Xbox Live Gold that they modified, right? The Game Pass Standard, they had changed the Game Pass console, and it never had online, but that they already had raised the price at that point once, right? Because it used to be $9.99, and then you would have your online Xbox Live Gold for 12 months for $60, which was $5 a month if you bought a 12-month card, right? So you would essentially get Game Pass if it plus online for $15. They switched the model and did Game Pass Console and Game Pass Core, right? And then it became slightly more expensive to get Game Pass Console plus online if you went that way, or you could just get Ultimate, right? Which at that point they'd also done a little price increase. So there was like nobody really doing that option, Game Pass Core plus Game Pass Console. It was just didn't make sense. You just do Ultimate if you want Game Pass, right? But now what they did is they switched it back again to his Game Pass Standard, but it's more expensive than Game Pass was before at $9.99. They give you the online for $15, but they took away the day and date. So essentially what it is now for Game Pass Standard, you're paying the same price that we were before with online, but you lose day and date games. So for the standard Game Pass, over the course of a little over a year, what they just did is just take away day and date games. And they did that little transition switch that they did last year that was really stupid and confusing to kind of like bridge the gap. And we were wondering at the time, is this going to be the end of like how they're making these models? Because like this is weird and kind of stupid. Like why? And then I think we speculated back then, I wonder if they're doing this because they're actually going to make further changes, and this is just kind of like a stopgap, right? And they made this change, I think, to ease the burden of this now. It really, like, if you really want to think about it, like, well, okay, well, they're giving us online, but they're taking away day and date, so people are seeing it as a 1-for-1 in a way. But it's not really. If you go back for a year prior to that, it's the same price really that we were paying, except they just take away day and date. And not too long. So overall, as a standard Game Pass option, I think it's just like kind of a dumb decision. I think it tarnishes the name of Game Pass. I think that it puts it more in line with the Game Pass standard to what PS Plus Extra is, which we said nobody cares about. It's a shitty service, right? I don't want Game Pass to be synonymous with in the name as a shitty service like PS Plus Extra. Really, you're getting about the same kind of features for the same kind of price as PS Plus Extra and Game Pass Standard now. So for that, I'm like, I'm not interested. I'm just not interested in that. Maybe if there was something specific I was looking for to play, I would subscribe for like a month instead of doing long-term subscriptions or something. Like if it was like we did a month ago for my daughter, who wanted to play the Life is Strange games. So on PlayStation, we got extra for like 1 month just so she could play those, so I didn't have to buy them, right? And then you cancel it. But like Game Pass Ultimate, I feel like I have to subscribe to. So I don't really know who Game Pass Standard is for. It's just a little bit cheaper option that removes the only great selling point to Game Pass and what Game Pass always was. So I don't like I just don't like tarnishing the Game Pass name for the sake of this. It was easy before to say, hey, get Game Pass, you get games day and date. Now it's like get Game Pass Ultimate, not Game Pass Standard, not Game Pass. You got to get game, like for day and date. And for me, that's a no-brainer still. They're still giving the best value in gaming by far, bar none, for that. It saves me crazy amounts of money per year, especially this year. We're adding up all the games that I'm interested in playing this year. I think $20 is an easy decision per month to pay for that. People were adding it up. It's $240 per year. You do that, just the games from the first party alone that I would be buying would be probably $400 or $500 this year. Like, easy, right? So I I'm not like, I think they made some stupid decisions with how they're doing this. I think they also should have waited. I hear good debates back and forth about the idea of waiting till after next year, but I think it would have been a better idea to be hyper aggressive with this crazy lineup they're about to have. They just hit the Amazon Fire Sticks as well. They just hit that. Now Amazon Fire Sticks, like, you got to get Ultimate pretty much. Like, it's what you got to do, right? So the other ones, it's pointless. It would have been nice if they actually were thinking about, hey, how do we make it more accessible for people in these other devices to be able to access Game Pass without having to pay $20 a month, right? But now that's the only option.
They should have
right?
a cloud. They should have a cloud only.
Right.
I mean,
I think so. You would think, but no.
Yeah.
So PC Game Pass is by far the best deal you're getting. If you're primarily a PC player, you don't have to pay for the online, so they take that into account with the pricing and stuff, and all these other kind of things. $11.99 per month. They did go up a couple bucks there, but all the first party games are still going to PC day and date as well. So if you're a primary PC player, you're still getting the best bang for your buck. Console players, again, get kind of fucked, right? And this goes into the whole line that I don't know if we want to get into this about paying for online multiplayer. It's antiquated. My idea model would have been just like, hey, let everybody have a fucking free account like you can on PC, right? You can play your games online. If you want to buy your games, you buy your games, right? Maybe do a couple random free games occasionally, kind of like Epic Game Store does or something like that, right? Or whatever, who knows? But yeah, just let people have a free account, play your games, buy your games if you want, play your free-to-play stuff also. And then if you want Game Pass, maybe have a standard Game Pass option that has day and date, but it doesn't include the cloud, doesn't include all this other stuff or whatever. And then you have your Ultimate that includes PC Game Pass, includes the cloud, includes console, and the whole works, right? That would be kind of what I would prefer as a consumer. I think $20 is a fair price to ask for Ultimate for everything you're getting still, if that's where they want to sit at. I think standard Game Pass for console should be the same price as it is on PC. If they feel like they can get $11.99 on PC for people, that's what it should be on console too. And I know the arguments for people saying, well, Xbox consoles, there's more like backends there's all these other kind of things. You look at the top 10 games played every single month, like on all these platforms, including PlayStation. Most of them, a lot of them are free to play. Like, you have a huge percentage of players playing free to play on console on free accounts. Also in the cloud on free accounts now for these games. And they're not having to pay a damn thing, right? So if they can do it for the free to play stuff and they can do it with PC servers and all that kind of stuff, they should be able to do it for consoles. And there's no reason that they can't. You still have to, for PC, for mobile, for cloud, people are playing free to play, you still have to manage the servers, you still have to have services, you still have to have all the back end shit that they do on consoles. The truth is that as console gamers, we're locked into kind of a box. If you're only a console gamer, you're kind of locked into that, and you are paying a premium for that experience, right? And at some point, it's like, I don't think people are going to keep being okay with that for the most part. I think it's kind of ridiculous that they're still charging for online. That it needs to change eventually. Obviously, they're getting the money and people are willing to pay it. Subscribe to something like Game Pass Core for $10 a month. That's the same. Think about this. Game Pass Core is $10 a month. That's the same price that Game Pass used to be.
Yep.
And what are you're getting the small selection of games, and they also went up on the from $59.99 for 12 months to $74.99. Still cheaper than PlayStation's option, I believe. But I think is it the same price or is it cheaper? I'm not sure, but
I don't even.
The other thing is, I'm not like raising pitchforks and stuff. It's business. This is what they thought. Obviously, they're taking a million other things into consideration that I'm not. I'm just saying like what I think would be the best thing for as a consumer, and I think it would also attract the most customers. And as a business, that's ultimately what you want when your business is driven around engagement and spending money on the games that you're playing, right? So that's what I would have done, but however, that's not what they're doing. And we're sitting here now, and you can decide if you feel like it's worth it for you. For me, yeah, Game Pass Ultimate is a hell of a deal. It completely destroys anything else out there, and I'm going to keep staying subscribed until, like Pong said, the wheels fall off. Also, on the comparison to PlayStation side, I do actually have a little bit of a difference of opinion there, just because
I heard you didn't. Yeah.
It's the main competition for platform and consoles to Xbox, right? For consoles. Now, obviously, PlayStation has a much stronger foothold in the console space, but I think as consumers, it would have been nice for years ago, instead of everybody cheering on price increases when Sony was the first platform to actually do it, for them to make excuses for all this stuff like, oh, they can't do this, they can't do it, oh, they can't do it because they don't have enough, but then still people championing and saying that they're number one all the time. It would have been nice if they had a better subscription service that would put more pressure on the competition as well, but they don't care. And the consumers don't care. Right. So the question is like, why do consumers care so much more about Xbox's subscription model when you can still buy all the games the same as you can on PlayStation, when PlayStation doesn't get any criticism for the shit show of subscription services that they offer for the same price or more money, and not even putting games that have been out for almost 2 years into the service, or some of them over 2 years now. And I would just like to see some of the media that are freaking out about how Game Pass is taking away from the consumers, or the not offering as much value, actually look at what the competition is doing and actually make a comparison to the value being provided from Game Pass comparatively to PlayStation. There's actually people out there that are saying that PlayStation Plus is a better deal than Game Pass Ultimate.
But we all know they're lying.
You just can't even look at that any kind of objective way and make that statement, because you're just fucking lying to yourself. The only way that's possible is if you don't have an Xbox, and well, of course, why would you pay for a subscription on something you're not going to use, right? Like, that's the only way it would have less value. Like, all these first party games coming that are top tier type games just in this year, including third party games day and date for Ultimate, completely smashes anything any other subscription model in gaming even fucking dares to try. And yet, it's like, oh, Xbox is in trouble. The industry's in trouble. Oh, Xbox has ruined the way people think about spending money, or all these other kind of thoughts that are out there. And like, PlayStation is like, has a subscription service too, but it is so shitty that people don't even bother with the comparisons or even think about what they're offering and how competition is what breeds value. If we want Game Pass to actually maintain good pricing and have better games and all that stuff, then how about the number one company actually step up their fucking game as well, if they want to try. And remember when they launched those tiers, right? I went ape shit on them. Fucking, what are you doing? Like, dipping your toe in. They were dipping their toe in. They're half-assing it. They don't understand what they wanted to do because they don't have games of service games. Now they're doing their games of service games. The new game that they're coming out with, Concord, they're letting you play the beta if you have a PS Plus subscription, but you're not getting the game in their PS Plus subscription, not even on premium, right? And it's like, I just can't get behind the thought that what they're charging for. The other thing is gatekeeping your fucking cloud saves with the base subscription service still there for Essentials is absolutely asinine and should be almost fucking illegal, right? Like, it's just completely garbage what they're doing there with their tiers and stuff, and they get no fucking flack for it. No criticism whatsoever. So when we are sitting here talking about Game Pass and the
This
stuff
is a
that they're
joke.
doing, it's like I have to look at the competition of the subscription
It's not a
services.
competition. It's not a competition though.
For me it is, because they are competing with PlayStation and consumers'
But they're
time and
not.
money.
But they're not. They've
They are.
removed themselves from that, and
Mm.
PlayStation said it wasn't a Game Pass competitor. So both of them have said that that's not what we're doing here.
But they said it's their version of Game Pass before they came out with it.
Sure, because it's a subscription service, but they're not competing directly because they're not doing day and date. They don't even do the same amount of third party.
But we should be asking them for at least putting games in like sooner. Because people they're asking
Don't
for
subscribe.
They're asking
Don't
for
subscribe. It's not valuable.
Well,
it's a
right.
joke.
But that's like saying,
I'm saying
if a
it's a
game is
joke.
$120, don't buy it. Right? Like,
right.
But
right.
we shouldn't want games to be $120. We should want them to be stay 70.
No,
right?
no, right. But a subscription service being the optional way to get games, like, it's a joke. It's a joke to everybody. Everybody knows that there's no competition. And again, because PlayStation has never made it its focus, nobody else is going to.
They're losing the plot by not making it a little bit bigger focus on what they're trying to do.
You and I have talked about that, of course, and we both agree that we'd love to see it. But I'm just saying, right as we sit here right now, PlayStation has not put any focus on that service. It just exists, and they're just happy to have people subscribe to it. The bigger thing that people should be writing up about Sony PlayStation is that their cloud saves are still locked behind a paywall. That is the biggest joke in history. That is the biggest FU to consumers, to gamers in history, that they lock your saves behind a paywall in 2024. That should be written about constantly. That's the one thing that I think Sony has to change. But as far as PS Plus Premium, nobody cares about it. That's the whole thing. We can have these community guys run around here and tell us, what great value it is. I played all these freaking games on, it's better value than Game. Everybody knows they're lying. Like, nobody takes them seriously. It's a joke of a service. And again, it just exists because PlayStation can then put a check mark next to it and say, yeah, we got a sub service. We really tried. Okay. Yeah. I think that, again, it's just different perspective. Like, I get your point too, Mav. Obviously, I mean, I get your point. It's just that when I look at it, I'm just like, nobody really looks at PlayStation Plus and goes, "Oh, that's the way I'm going to enter the ecosystem."
But if they're having a service or subscription, I want them to have the value there to make it seem like it's worthy of discussion, and not have them this just be this afterthought that like only the it's here. You know, if you want it to come get it, it's here. We're gonna, like, I want them to compete for that shit. And if they did, it would be better. I think for gaming in general, it'd be better for us as consumers, because it would put more pressure on Xbox as well. Well, they're missing the boat on that.
But
they are.
Okay, right. But they've missed their boat on a lot of different things, right?
Yeah.
But to them, their business model, again, they are holding on to the old ways for as long as is humanly possible. Like,
and that's why they were the first to fucking raise the prices to $70 as a platform. Right. Like, and people were celebrating that. That's like, well, what you led with talking about this was like, it was like, you're not going to be the guy like sitting there championing them raising prices on games either. Like, and like, that's the contrast to this. You know what I mean? Like, they need more recurring revenue, and like, I think they have an opportunity to grab it if they would stop being chicken shits and use weird ass excuses, like they put Horizon in there and it lost them some money or something. Like, it's not how that's not how the model works. I see Comedically Inclined was talking about no company can afford to lose money on something like Game Pass because they aren't Microsoft. But they haven't been losing money on Game Pass. The numbers have been out there. Like, there's a whole false narrative out there.
The court document showed it. So,
like, it's like, it's been profitable. The content and services on Xbox is the thing that's been continually going up. Like, so there's this whole false idea and false narrative that like Game Pass has been a problem for Microsoft, when it's actually been their savior. It's actually been the thing that has stabilized them and kept them steady and growing, despite console hardware declining. Like, Game Pass and content and services has maintained it. I don't know how many times they have to come out there and talk about the numbers and talk about it and show people. But ultimately, Xbox has been profitable. Game Pass has been profitable. And it's been the thing that has actually turned the tides for them in some ways. And you've actually had industry analysts that have gone through this when those numbers all broke down after their financial results numerous times and actually cover this exact topic and explain to people this scenario about how the recurring revenue, content and services has actually stabilized them and actually helped grow in those situations. But yet people still lead with false narratives out there about they can't keep affording to lose money or whatever. It's been proven that it's a successful model. It's been proven that it's successful for them. It's not necessarily going to be every game is going to be a huge home run or win, but overall as a service, it's been hugely successful for Xbox. This is just different now. They're adding so much more content. They're trying to figure out how they can get a couple more dollars and force people into Ultimate even more, right? Like if they didn't want that, then they would just remove day and date across the board. I think standard Game Pass is kind of an atrocity to the name, and it shouldn't exist in general. But it is what it is. Let's see. We got the
Moon Man.
Is that the Moon Man?
That's the spooky rocket from back in the day.
Price increase was expected. The thing I understand console gamers being upset about is they're having to pay $100 a year more for the top tier compared to us PC gamers. I understand that gripe. Well, it's for here's the thing, for the Ultimate, you're also getting PC Game Pass. So if you're comparing the pricing to Game Pass Ultimate, you're getting Cloud, you're getting PC Game Pass and the Game Pass for console. PC Game Pass is just restricted to PC. So there's not really a fair comparison for PC Game Pass compared to Ultimate. If you want to talk about a comparison of Game Pass standard compared to PC Game Pass, on console, you're paying $3 more per month than PC Game Pass, and you don't get online. No, sorry, you do get online, but you don't get day and date games. So you're paying $3 a month on console, and you don't get day and date games. Let that sink in, and comparatively to the price, yeah, it's $36 more per year, $14.99 compared to $11.99, but you're not getting day and date games, which is hundreds of dollars of value, for the same price at PC Game Pass at $11.99, comparatively to PC Game Pass. So that's where the comparison is. And that's what I'm saying. Console gamers getting fucked. They should be able to do the same thing on console. There's no reason why not. Nobody can give me a good reason why they can't do the same thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, other than money. I mean, but again, you could even do away with it and just charge everybody the same. And just tell everybody, yeah,
right,
we're going to charge for it anymore. So if you buy the disc, great, you get to play for free. But if you want it through, again, it's free everywhere as far as the online multiplayer goes. But yeah, I mean, we're still going to charge you the same. We're not going to reduce the prices on Game Pass. Like that's fine. Game Pass Ultimate. I know some talk. You can. Silver Alpha says it's profitable, but a 20-year arc to make the money back to ABK is not sustainable. It's a death spiral. No, that's not true either, because they moved cash that was being devalued through inflation. They moved cash into an actual, right?
And they're acquiring an asset. It's not like they spent $70 they got to pay back. The entity that they're acquiring is worth, it has value in and of itself. It raises the value of the company, of Xbox internally, or Microsoft gaming division or whatever. Like, it raises the value of everything. They maintain value that you're acquiring. It's like saying you buy a house and it's worthless and you got to pay it all back. No, if you decide to sell your house, you're still selling your house. Sometimes it appreciates or sometimes it goes down, right? Like, it's the same thing with buying a company like that. Yeah, they don't have to. Oh, we spent $70 billion. Well, we're $70 billion in the hole now. It's not how it works. It's they're acquiring a company that's making money and has value in and of itself.
Correct. Yeah. Overall, I agree with obviously everything that you said, besides our different perspective on a couple things. But the new standard. Again, to clarify, if anybody is still confused, there's a 3 or 4 page explanation of this, which is crazy. Number one, wait, I did want to point this out too, Mav, and I forgot my opening. Xbox, listen, Xbox, every company goes through this, right? Every company has leaky issues. This was not planned. This is not how Xbox.
Yeah.
The Xbox did not want it to release this way. Those emails went out to the Canadian users early. That's how this broke.
Yeah.
Okay. This is another example where Xbox has some major plans and something crashes their party.
Yeah, they never get the opportunity to deliver the messaging how they want to.
Right. Because I believe, Mav, I believe that they were going, because we got the rumors now that Modern Warfare 3 is coming into Game Pass, right? I believe that they had this lined up where they were going to have some big Game Pass announcements drop and then drop this as well, right? Be like, okay, we are giving Call of Duty Modern Warfare surprise. It's coming in. It's coming in next month, right? Some of the ABK titles, the back catalog is starting to start to show up in Game Pass. And then, oh, by the way, we are also changing our tiers, and here's what's going to happen, right? So this is another example where they don't get to control the narrative, like you just said. Like, and I do believe that they had to come out because obviously the emails were out. People started picking up on it. Like, what are they going to do? They confirm it, but they had no chance to do it the way that they wanted to do. They got to fix whatever. Again, it's a gigantic company with a lot of hands and cooks in the kitchen at all times. But my God, when your system starts sending out emails early there, come on, man. Yeah. You're a software company, bro. Come on, man. Like, listen. But I think the standard should not even exist. And again, I wanted to clarify, if anybody's still confused, if you are a console, if you're a Game Pass console subscriptions subscriber right now.
But that were the people that had Game, because before it wasn't Game Pass console, it's called just Game Pass, right?
Yeah, right. Whatever.
So were they grandfathered into Game Pass console? So
yes, that's technically what that is.
Right.
So you guys can continue, as long as you continue your membership, you're grandfathered in. You do not have to move to standard. Okay, standard is for the new people going forward. Also,
but they don't get online. They have to pay for core separately.
Right. Yes, correct. But you could still stack as well. Stacking is only against the standard going forward, right? Okay. But I don't think standard should exist, Mav. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I loved your point when you made it on Mavcast, and then your tweet later. You shouldn't have a tier called Game Pass anything if it doesn't include day and date.
Yeah, 100%.
That ruins all your marketing. That ruins all this branding that you have now done for almost 10 years on Game Pass. That ruins all of that, in my opinion. Again, as many chats will always point out, we're not marketing. We don't have degrees in marketing. We don't run billion-dollar companies, whatever. There's a lot more smarter people than us in positions that make these decisions. But my God, some common sense here is you spent all this time developing, and even if it didn't get to the level you thought it could, but you spent all this time developing this idea. When you hear Game Pass, day one, first party titles, right? That was what you're marketed. And now you have a tier that doesn't include your biggest bonus to those people that subscribe to Game Pass, which is your first party titles coming to them day one for the price of a subscription. I understand they're using the standard now to try to strong arm new people coming into Xbox to look at the standard and then look at Ultimate and go, why the fuck would I pay this for standard when I can get Ultimate for $5 more a month? I understand what they're doing, but this is short-sighted on their part, in my opinion. Well, you are ruining what you branded what you branded Game Pass as.
For me, the worst case scenario from this move would be if Game Pass Standard actually grew and there was less Ultimate subscribers.
That's never going to
happen. I don't think so either. But if it did, for consumers like us, that could be potentially a detrimental thing, because that means less interest in putting potentially third-party deals for day-and-date games, all that stuff, because it's attractive for the amount of users that they have, right? Yeah. So I think this is to push people to Ultimate as well.
It's a stream, that's all it is. Yes.
But that's why I don't understand why it fucking
terrible.
exist like
It
this.
should not exist, bro.
I mean,
it
it's
should not exist.
like I explained earlier. If you go back like if a further year, right? Essentially, what we're doing is paying the same price for Game Pass standard.
Yep.
Just without day and date.
Right. Which sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you get the online, but yes, that sucks. That should be gone.
So
yeah,
that's just for the pure console user. Your only option really to get the full experience is Ultimate now.
Yep.
Right? While PC, they get an $11.99 option for essentially what Game Pass was on used to be on console.
Right. And it makes sense.
Could you imagine if that was still $11.99 on console? Nobody would be complaining about that. Like,
no,
like, hey, yeah, $11.99 for Game Pass on console, and you don't have to get anything else. Yeah, people would be happy.
And I want to talk about that because I think that indicates part of the future here too. And I'll get to that in a second here. Moonman says again, $7.99 Australian dollars. Thank you, Spooky. Appreciate you, brother. Says this is what we were just talking about, Spook. So I know you jumped in here a little bit late, Mav. Actually talked about this a lot. Do you both think MS needs to allow free online for console gamers just like on PC? I know that's been a gripe, which I think is a fair question. Yes, absolutely. I think. Again, I can hold a competing idea in my head at the same time and say, okay, so the back end on the console servers costs more than the PC because it's set up differently, yada, yada, yada. Yes.
But the biggest engagement games are free to play, which they get for free now anyway, too.
Right. So
and they even let those people play on the fucking cloud for free.
Yeah, and I think it's antiquated. But I definitely think it's antiquated. And I think it's outdated, and I think it should be done and over with. But maybe it won't matter next generation. We'll get that to you here in a second too.
Yeah.
Also, attention, ladies and gentlemen. Before I continue my discussion, our discussion on the Game Pass situation, I need to make a special announcement because we have just reached Mach 3.5 thanks to the one and only Razer NZ. And yes, if you are guessing the NZ means New Zealand, you would be correct. This man is halfway around the globe in a different totally day from us right now. The one and only Razer NZ comes on through with a bag of coal. He gets on the court with an easy 10 dunk to get us to Mach 3.5, keeping us hashtag ad free right here in 2024. And your goal for this month is now 6,295 thanks to the Razer NZ coming through with that 10 bomb. Choo choo, motherfuckers. Choo choo. Please buckle up. Choo choo. I love it, bro. Please buckle up. Choo choo, motherfuckers. Thank you, Razer NZ. Appreciate you. And welcome aboard, all you fun new speculators. We just added 2 cars to the hype train. Let's go.
Yeah. Tony McTinebridge.
Yeah.
Fraud Watch ambassador.
Oh God.
Says, do you pay online on Switch? Yeah, you do. You have to pay online for Switch also. It's like ridiculously cheap. It's like $25, $30 a year or something like that.
Too.
But I agree. But it's the fucking worst service possible that you could ever imagine.
They should pay people to play online over on the Switch. They should actually pay. They should refund people for every time they use their online service. That's
like,
how freaking
all these companies just know they can get away with it. Like they make money on the games that people play online because most of them have other content to buy that keep being ongoing game. They come out with add-on stuff or microtransactions and all these other kind of things. Like that's why they've made it to where you can play Fortnite for free in the cloud on a fucking iPad if you want to, just going by Xbox.com, right? Mm-hmm. Like you don't even have to have a fucking subscription to anything. You just have an account or so because they know having those users was worth more to them than not, right? But they know that console gamers have been trained by Microsoft originally to expect and pay for online because the quality of the service and stuff like that, right? But the PC players are getting the same quality service, right? And I don't, man,
I listen. I think Ultimate should be the standard. I think Ultimate should be. I actually want a higher tier. I know. Oh, whoa!
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
This is hard Heat's thing. He's been talking about it,
and we've talked about this too.
Yeah.
We've talked about this, man, because again, we did have a conversation about this, and we did speculate that they would have either an ad-supported tier,
Mhm.
as was speculated for a very long time, or that they would have a tier. If people can go back and listen, I know we talked about it more than once, that they would have a tier that they took away day and date. And again,
Yeah.
I think it's dumb, but I think Ultimate should just be the standard. And I want the higher tier. I want the higher tier that gives me all the bonuses. I want the higher tier
The
that's like
ultimate
Ubisoft Plus,
versions,
the
the
ultimate
yeah.
versions of all the games. Maybe it gets, if they can work out a deal with Ubisoft, to include Ubisoft Plus along with EA
What about
Plus
Elder Scrolls
Premium or Plus.
Online
Elder Scrolls on
subscription,
subscriptions.
World of
Give
Warcraft? Yeah.
Listen, you throw that out there and you tell me that's going to be $30 a month, I'm in. Okay, I'm in. For me, as the
Yeah.
gamer I am, as the grazer I am, I'm in. I actually want that higher tier. I think they should go all out.
I
Make
don't know
Ultimate
how
the
much
standard.
they I think it'd be more than that though. If you
It
include
probably would be
if you
30,
include
30, 35.
if you include EA Play and Ubisoft
Yes,
Plus, that
yes,
would
yes.
put it over the top
I
because
would pay 35. I'd pay 35 for that. I pay 35 for that. What would 35? Let's see, 35 times 12 would be what? So you'd be looking at 360. So then what would you be
420.
looking at? 420?
420, 420 motherfuckers.
420. Think about the marketing campaign you can have, bro. 420 a year, and I get the whole kit and caboodle. Fuck yeah, I'm in. Like that would be great for me as a grazer, right? Anyways, I want to touch on this because then we should move on too, because we've already been an hour and a half. Holy shit, man, already. And I do want to get to the stuff that you want to talk about too, because it's a part of this conversation
Yeah.
as well. But I want to talk about some of the things that I've been thinking about, just higher level stuff. Again, speculating, looking at this, because we do this all the time, Mav, and we are spot on because we did have conversations about how they were going to do this, what it kind of meant, what some of the changes kind of meant. And we know, to me, what this says, Mav, to me, with the PC side thing especially, this is not the final form. Okay. And I still think that they're still working through exactly what they want to do here. But what it does tell me, and again, I could be completely wrong. This is my speculation, just my personal thoughts on this. What it does tell me is that they do feel, for the most part, they've reached a saturation point amongst the console market players who are going to buy Xbox Ultimate. Because you don't raise your prices when you, like you said earlier, Mav, if you're in aggressive growth stage. You don't raise prices until you get to some of those big marks that you want to hit internally. We know they're big marks for 50 million and then 100 million at least. So I think that they do realize they probably, not that it's going to stop growing, like that they're never going to get any more new subscribers, but that phase of aggressiveness is kind of done on the console side. The PC side, however, as they've talked about, as Phil has publicly talked about, is still open. The PC side still has room for growth. Why does it still have room for growth? Because they still have a shit PC app. And they still have a shit PC store. And they still have not fixed that shit. They've done some stuff to improve it. But now that I've played around on PC enough and I've experienced it, Xbox has a lot of room to grow there by fixing those and making it more user-friendly on the PC side, especially when a service like Steam dominates and monopolizes. You have to put your best foot forward. And to be real, and anybody who's played around with it, if you want to say it's okay, but it should be great. And until they get it to that point, I think that they still see a lot of potential on the PC side. That's why the PC side, yes, got a small raise, but in the grand scheme of things, like you said, Mav, is getting probably the best deal of the bunch by far. Okay.
Yep.
And so I think that they still see room for lots of growth there. But we've talked about this in the past. The mobile has yet to they don't have the mobile store out. They said it's going to start as a web-based store to begin with. They don't have the app yet. We've always talked about that there could be potentially a mobile Game Pass for all the IP that they own and third-party deals, that they could introduce another tier there as well for mobile. So I don't think this is the final form. I look at this situation and I think that they are looking already towards next gen, Mav. And we've talked about next gen being sooner than later. And if they're doing this high, why I said earlier, it might not matter down the road. I look at this, Mav, We were talking about the online, paying for online. Yes, you're always going to have that because there's going to be, some people still on the older consoles, all that kind of, so you're going to have that. But if they're doing the hybrid thing, if they are going to bridge the gap and their next console, handheld, combination of both, whatever it winds up being, is more PC like and runs PC, right? Stores, that kind of stuff. Well, then a lot of people will be able to buy into PC Game Pass, right? If they're going to do this, if they're going to go that route, it changes the dynamic completely if they do something like that. And I think they're looking at that and saying, okay, what are we going to do down the road? What we have planned is going to alter ultimately the way people approach Game Pass in the future because they're going to have more options, right? They're going to have options to buy in potentially off Steam stores, Epic stores, GOG, all these different places, our own store. And we're going to have Game Pass. And we're going to have PC Game Pass that is ultimately going to be cheap. And we're going to have all these Xbox people who are used to Game Pass, who love Game Pass, who aren't necessarily PC only players that love Steam and will refuse to buy anywhere else. So now they're opening the door, man, where things could change yet again down the road. And how are they going to handle that? So I think there's a lot of influx stuff going on behind the scenes, as we've talked about, with their first party titles and what's going where, and if they're going to do this multi-plat thing or what they're going to do. And I think the Game Pass situation with how they set this up, and again, it is overly top confusing. They have a worthless section called standard now, which I think should just be gone, but whatever. I truly think that they're looking down the road and seeing that they could wind up having to evolve it in a different direction just because they're moving their whole hardware in a different direction. And then we get the little peeps today. And again, take it with a grain of salt. Tom Warren, trust him, don't trust him. I really don't care. I still like Tom. Whatever. A lot of people have hate against him. Fine, so be it. Dude's trying to make $1, as all the media is. He does his click thing. Now he's got his notebook. But he's hearing, again, potentially hearing that there's conversations that they're going to change and move away from pushing the console in Europe and other places where it's just not selling, and that they're going to push Game Pass and PC and all this kind of stuff in those areas more so than even the Xbox console. There's just little signs here, Mav, that this is not the final form, that they know it's not the final form, that they're kicking around, the cans, trying to see what kind of works, what doesn't work, and trying to alter the deal to the point where they find a comfortable spot for everybody and not upset the whole hornet's nest too much, right? They know they're going to upset people, right? They know that's going to happen, but I think they're just looking at a lot of different situations right now that could just really have an impact on what Game Pass is, what it means, what the subscriptions themselves entail in just a couple years down the road if they launch in 2026 with a new system or a new whole couple systems. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to go into our other conversation about, the evolution of the industry as well, right? But overall, I think Xbox this isn't the final form, right? But this is, I think for now, they're settling into that, like, Game Pass, this is what we want to offer value-wise, and they're less aggressive, right? They're more aggressive on the content with Ultimate because you have a lot more games, right? But they're less aggressive on the pricing structure and the offering on the other tiers as well, right? So for them, it's like they focus so much on one tier, which is the like Ultimate tier, and the rest is kind of like, well, these are for the people that just want it for whatever reason. Kind of, I look at those almost like as like PlayStation's things, like it's just kind of throwaways. Just like, hey, if this is what you want, this is here, right? But like Ultimate being what it is right now, I think is cool, and I think they're settled into that. But like there was always going to be a transformation when you had ABK, when you added ABK, when you added ZeniMax Bethesda, when you added all these other studios. There's always going to be some kind of transformation, right? Now we see what's happening with the industry overall. Consoles across the board are kind of dwindling down a little bit as far as overall market share. Mobile is still booming like crazy. You also have PC market is still growing. You have migration of players playing in different ways than they've ever played before. You have younger audiences playing games in different ways than the older us old hats have always played them, and less caring necessarily about having to have a console piece of hardware. Overall, this has just been a transition for the entire industry, and it's like, how does Microsoft fit in with this ecosystem that they're building into where everything is evolving into? And ultimately, this isn't the final form we're seeing for Game Pass, because I think it's going to continue to evolve as the mobile thing happens, as the PC idea that keeps getting floated around about their future hardware potentially evolves into something a little bit different than we're used to seeing. If they do a handheld as well, how does that operate with everything? So it's the one thing that kind of gets frustrating, because Xbox is innovating so much and pushing things forward and doing all these different things all the time and acquiring so much stuff, is it's harder to get a clear picture of what exactly it is going to be, because there's always these constant changes. Like, we just had these changes last year, right? Then there's like, okay, now we're adding this. Now they're taking away day and date from this. Now there's adding online to this, and it's like, just like, from a consumer, it creates like a confusion element as to what it's going to end up becoming, because you're used to things just changing so much, which kind of takes away confidence from being able to know what the future is. Like, personally, I have utmost confidence in Microsoft storefronts, and like they're going forward with access and them creating hardware for us to play on and all these other kind of things. But like the Tom Warren thing about Europe and their tipster, he's, as he calls them, that's told them about them like not focusing on marketing as much for the pushing the hardware in Europe and stuff. Like, what does that mean? I don't know. Like, does it mean that they have an overabundance of consoles there and they're just going to try and like push what they have and not really focus too much on growing as much there, except now focusing on the services because they think there's more opportunity for growth there in that way? How does that affect their ideas for hardware in the future? I don't really know if it does too much, because we've always been talking about the future is more about enthusiast consoles and hardware anyway. And I think have realized that hardware for console enthusiast specific type gamers in the Xbox ecosystem has gotten smaller as well. I think there's still more opportunity than they potentially see with Activision Blizzard games, Call of Duty, and all these other kind of stuff. And maybe when Call of Duty comes out, it dominates and they start selling more consoles because of Game Pass and all this stuff, and they're surprised by it. Who knows? I think the market's going to keep dictating some of the decisions that Microsoft makes, and that's one thing I kind of wish Microsoft was a little different on. They always seem to be so reactive at times to what the numbers are telling them from an analytics point of view, from a consumer spending point of view, and they always kind of seem to try and shift their businesses towards whatever that metric is, instead of like, hey, we want to create this metric, we want to strengthen it, and what's the best way of going forward and doing that. And like, they have the tools available to them to make a bigger impact than I think they are in the hardware space, but for some reason they keep moving away. And like, we could talk marketing, we talk about this or that, but with Europe, I don't know what it means. I don't know. Like, does it mean the next gen hardware is coming sooner than we think? Does it mean that there's going to have other devices? Does it mean that other kind of idea about the ecosystem being on other platforms and other devices is something that's going to happen sooner? Do they think that that's going to be the driving force for that market in Europe? I don't know, man. It's too early to tell on a lot of things, and it's too hard to speculate on one person's tip to Tom Warren that was in one article behind a gate kept, paid for type
Right.
thing, right? So I would take it with a grain of salt, much like
Mhm.
when Christopher Dring said that Xbox was done doing third party deals for Game Pass. Pretty much that third party companies aren't interested in putting games
Yeah.
on Xbox. So it's there's a lot of these things that these people say or do or write about that, like, we just kind of, maybe a conversation they had with one person seems like something, but it's not necessarily the reality of what's going on, right? And that happens a lot. We've seen that a lot in the industry, especially from people that are public speaking on social media in the industry. Make things always seem like something, but it's just from their perspective and their point of view, right? And if somebody has a point of view just because they work in the industry or they work for a one company or they have a thought or they're some kind of tipster to somebody, it doesn't mean they're always 100% accurate with what their thoughts are. It just means that there was somebody that could have information that gave somebody their thoughts and they decided to write upon it, right? So overall, it's too early to tell what that means. They
It is.
haven't done a great job in Europe. Um,
Nope.
so I don't know what that tells you.
No. I mean, like box today in one of the DMs, I throwing in there the Tom Warren stuff or whatever else, and he said, "Well, they're not stopping promotions. They never had those to
Right,
begin with."
exactly. Yeah.
And he's in Germany. He talks about that all the time. Like Boxenberger's
Uh-huh.
actually over there, and he's legit like they have zero presence in Germany. Like he is legit one of the only dudes who plays Xbox in Germany. Like he knows other gamers and they're all PlayStation people or PC people. Like nobody even knows. Some people he's talked about in the past, like in Germany, when he talks about Xbox, they don't even really know what Xbox is. Like that's how little
Hmm.
marketing they do over there. And that's Boxenberger's been all over that for a long time. And we've heard that from other places too around the globe. Like Xbox talks like a lot, like they want to expand and they want to open up these markets. They want to do all this stuff. But there's like a lot of people from those markets that come out and go, yep, but you're not doing anything
Right.
now. Like you're not, you don't have anything here. Like people don't know who you are here. And you're Xbox, you're Microsoft. Like that's the sad part that's always kind of popped up over time, as much as we've, heard them try and try and try again and say, they're doing things different. They're opening up all these, little subsidiaries or little, different shops to get people excited about Xbox and all these different places. Doesn't seem like they don't do a whole lot outside of those little
Yeah.
tiny things, and it just doesn't make a dent. Like and it's weird. It's weird to talk like that about a global company, parent company
Hmm.
in Microsoft, who is one of the biggest household names in the entire world when you say Microsoft. And
Right.
yet you have this big gaming company now, like one of your pillars now, bigger than Windows in terms of profitability goes, underneath you, and they've been around for over 20 years, and people still don't know, like in certain areas of the world, like what Xbox is. Like that's just weird to me whenever I think about
It
that. I'm
is,
like, how?
dude. Like that's like if I was to talk about any failings that Xbox has had
Yeah.
over the last
Mhm.
it's their history, it's
Yeah.
been the expansion to globally to become
Yes.
a household name in those places and become like something
Crazy.
that is people are interested in there. And I I I don't live there any of those
Nope.
places, so I don't see the way it is. So I can't really respond. I see the way it is here, and like they're popular in the
Yeah.
US. They're
Yeah.
like
Always have been.
in the US it's closer to 50-50,
Yep.
right? Between PlayStation and Xbox. I mean, you walk down the street and talk to people, it doesn't seem that way. But
Right.
like if you look at the numbers and a lot of things, it's a lot closer in the US than it is in other places in the world. And well, US is one of the biggest markets, so that I was always meant something and it's created kind of their identity. But like failing to really make a huge impact on all those places has been it's been
Yeah.
really interesting, especially just like in Europe though, like in a lot of places in Europe, like it just doesn't make a lot of sense how they would have such a hard time, you know, bridging the gap there, like
You wouldn't think so, especially when they saw success during 360. Like they
right.
did see global success during the 360 era, right? You would have thought that one generation couldn't wipe that all away. but it, like,
Yeah.
legitimately erased Xbox from history in some of these places. Like, it's crazy. It's really
Yeah.
crazy
Well,
to
what's
think.
the second market for them past the US? I mean, in Canada, is it like maybe
Mm, South
South
America.
America? I know
Parts of
that
South America, parts of Brazil is
I
like
know
big.
Brazil like loves gears. That's all.
Yeah,
That's all
yeah,
I
they
ever
love
know about
Xbox.
Brazil. People always say, "Oh, like Brazil's full of Gears of War
The
fans."
UK might
UK
be the
probably,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. UK is probably the second biggest market.
So
But
like,
yeah, it's nuts.
like you have all of Asia. It's
Right, right.
like Asia, Africa.
Which makes more sense because
Australia is probably a decent market for
Australia's
them.
probably decent as
Yeah,
well too. But it makes sense in the East because the East is very territorial, have been from a social societal standard. So they have resisted American companies in a lot of ways
yeah,
in the East for a long time, and Microsoft obviously American company. And you'd say, well, yeah, but video games are video games. Right, but it still counts as in their eyes, like they just are very, very nationalistic in a lot of ways over there. And so they just don't buy American and never have. Like it's just one of those things. And obviously they were, they had all their markets dominated by both PlayStation and Nintendo. So I mean, again, it's gonna happen. But yeah,
but that's
elsewhere,
where
like
you
you
would
said,
think they could have.
most of Europe,
Okay, like something they should have done a long time ago is really invest in one of those Japanese companies and then
yeah,
branded it
100%.
differently.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's something you would think.
We joked, but the Sega Xbox would have worked.
Yeah,
If they bought Sega and then had a Sega Xbox and it was branded Sega, but it was an Xbox, it would make some inroads. I believe. Call me crazy, but I do believe if you called it the Dreamcast X over there, you would make inroads. I truly believe that.
yeah.
I do. I honestly do believe it. As crazy as that sounds, I think it would work. I don't know how it all look, but it'd be crazy. I know I'd import one if it was called Dreamcast X. Oh my god, I'd
Yeah.
import one in a heartbeat.
Community classes or Xbox doesn't really have games that appeal to people in Asia.
Yeah, for a while there too. That was true. Yeah,
For the most part, they do now.
but yeah,
But
now
they
they've got
have
a
most of
lot.
the same games that PlayStation has.
Yeah, it's the same games, and again, it's not going to make. And
They
now
did.
the
They
market
struck out like another Hoyoverse games. Could you imagine if they
Yeah.
gotten that deal?
Oh yeah, that's again. Yeah,
PlayStation
Steele and I
has
talked
now.
about it's crazy. That's the stuff they can't miss out on. But again, the market over there has changed yet again to become more mobile market. That's why Nintendo has dominated over there, right? That's why PlayStation moved their headquarters to America. Nintendo is just dominating because everything's become more mobile over there,
Mhm.
right? Because of all the reasons that we've talked about in the past. Their infrastructure is set up so that they've got great Wi-Fi everywhere they freaking go. Again, much smaller living spaces over in the East as well. So space is limited, even for something like a console. And so, but they're always on the go and they can play wherever. And that became the Switch. Like
Yeah.
that became their home thing, man. Mobile. And mobile's been giant over there before it was massive everywhere else. It started in the East with the gotcha games. The gotcha games freaking were massive over there. And they
Yeah.
slowly spread this way. So
Yeah. I almost
just
wish that Xbox was a little bit more stubborn.
yeah, so do I.
You know what I
In a
mean?
lot of ways.
You know what I mean by that? Like,
Yeah.
just like,
They were stubborn during the 360 era, and they
yeah,
did a lot.
it's like stubborn about everything, about your brand and about your vision and goal, and like just fucking push that belief and like what you're doing. And instead, it's like, well, this isn't really working, so we're gonna switch to this, or we're gonna kind of change this, we're gonna kind of change that, we're gonna mess around it, like.
A lot of people would point the finger at Microsoft. I mean, again, that's kind of their MO
Yeah.
too. Have I mean, again, how many times have they been ahead of the
Yeah.
curve and given up? Right.
Right.
We
But
see
yeah,
we see it with the giant corps.
it's
Google's
not.
done it. Amazon's done it.
But it's not like they're in trouble either. Like this is the other
No,
thing. Like that's been going
no.
around. Like I was making the comparison about like because when I just made a tweet about Xbox and stuff, and all these PlayStation guys start commenting and being like, "Well, Xbox is in trouble." Well, I said the industry's fine, right? I was replying to this guy that had made that tweet, and I was like, "The industry overall is healthy. It's going to still be here. It's transforming. Is whatever. Like, there's more games and more options than ever before. And everybody and people, the replies I know were like, yeah, industry's great, but not Xbox, or but not Xbox. And I'm like, okay. And these are all like guys with like Kratos and stuff as their names and shit like that. And I'm like, okay. Like, did y'all not see Matt Piscatella's like whole breakdown about the amount of the game time played on PlayStation? There's for May, right? And you're talking about engagement factors, which Sony themselves admitted is how they judge their success more than anything else. Okay. For engagement, there's a top 10 games. There was 3 Microsoft and Xbox owned franchises in the top 10 games played in May on PlayStation 5, and 0 games by Sony on PlayStation 5. And yet they think Microsoft is the game that's in trouble when they're playing Microsoft and Xbox games more than Sony games themselves. What's the metric of success here, right? Is it actually the games and people playing and spending time and spending money in the games? If that's the case, Xbox is fine, because guess what? Fallout, Sea of Thieves, and Minecraft were 3 top 10 engagement for PlayStation 5 in that month. And there was 0 on, including their own smash hit games of service game, Helldivers 2, which at the same time was number 1 on PC. Number 1 engagement game during that same month on PC didn't even crack the top 10 on PlayStation 5. And you had 3 Xbox owned franchises that not even one of those games was new. You're talking about 3 games that were years old getting more engagement on PlayStation 5 than any of their new games for that entire month. And yet they think Microsoft and Xbox is in trouble. Oh, let me go boot up Minecraft on my PlayStation 5 real quick. Let me go boot up this Fallout. Let me go boot up Sea of Thieves. You know, like, they're spending money on these games, giving Xbox and Microsoft money. Meanwhile, saying that they're in trouble. Doesn't make any damn sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense. It just is an indication of the industry, and we've seen this time and time. We've seen examples of this time and time again. Again, the top 10 played games across the platforms, the average age was 6 to 7 years. There's black hole games now. That's the change that's happened in the entire industry.
First Descendant is another one now, right?
First Descendant, right. It's just altered the way people play. And again, the one thing that all of us, we could talk about money, we could talk about all these different things. The one thing that is truly limited for us as gamers that are enjoying what is a hobby, it's an extra just entertainment form that is not a priority to most people, is time. And that never changes. And so now with how the games are being made, with all these big black hole games, as they're calling them, that just take up millions upon millions upon millions of gamers' hours each and every single day and week, that leaves less room for the others to come in and try to find a spot. And that includes what we as enthusiasts, or a lot of enthusiasts, from the first party titles, the AAA single player games, or even some of the multiplayer games, considered to be the prime stake of video games, right? The casuals just outnumber us so much. And a lot of the enthusiasts now play Fortnites and do all in Minecrafts and Apex Legends, although Apex has just screwed themselves over. But all these types of games, like, that's what's changing in the industry, right? There is more than ever before. But while there is more gaming, and it's the golden age of gaming to me, and we are getting so much content, you got these massive IP just soaking up everybody's time. And all of a sudden you see these lists and it's like, where's the first party? Holy shit. And then, like Mav just pointed out, you got an ecosystem like PlayStation where they get what people say are the premium single player experiences.
And they'll buy them.
And they'll buy them, but none of them stay in these top lists for engagement anymore. And you've actually got Xbox games now, Xbox owned games, showing up in the top 10, because those are those types of games that people just get sucked into like that.
Yep.
That is what's changed massively about this industry. And again, we could talk about that right now a little bit too, Matt, because we had a gentleman come out. And I know you want to talk about this. We had another gentleman come out. His name is Ryan T. Brown, at Toad. Let's see, Toad's Anime. And he is a game developer. He's an indie game developer. And he came out and made a post this week after the Game Pass news had dropped. And he kind of piggybacked off of that to give his opinion on Game Pass as an indie developer. And he said Game Pass has irreversibly damaged the industry by altering customer behavior to what is mentally treated like not having to pay for games. The Spotify effect. It has eroded value perception of games, pushed towards play length as value, destroyed ownership, all for nothing. Goes on to say, I'm convinced Microsoft's plan is to still make Game Pass their entire model and escape the perceived shackles of consoles. Hence, the deprioritization of consoles here, having just launched on Amazon Fire Sticks. Almost every indie publisher I've spoken to feels this way about Game Pass and the subscription model, that it is long-term damage, short-term gains. Of course, he goes on to say, we all have tapped into those deals for short term as we feel it's our job to get the most for individual devs. If Microsoft is trying to regain customers buying their titles rather than just grabbing them on Game Pass, that day is gone. Xbox players do not buy games anymore. They've been trained to just grab them for free from their subscription. This was a predictable outcome. And of course, he received a ton of pushback, right? And again, he's not somebody who is known in this community. I've never heard of this dude before. So nobody knows where he comes from. I will let everybody know because he did talk about it. I went back through some of his posts in the past as well, just to see. He's talked about the other changes in the industry, like the one we were just talking about with black hole games like Fortnite. He's also talked about the monetization of the industry and how that's damaged the industry and been bad in lots of ways. So he has talked about other things outside of Xbox Game Pass having a negative effect on the games industry as a whole. It's not just Game Pass. He just used this news to piggyback to push his narrative that things are hurting the indie developers, and one of them happens to be Game Pass, according to him. Now we had Thomas Sala come out. Thomas Sala, obviously a fan favorite of he's the indie dev that did Falconeer, right? One of the first next gen games, remember?
Yeah.
That came out. Great game, by the way. And now he's got his new city builder version of that. I forget the name off the top of my head. I've got it wish listed. I'm gonna pitch but he's been a big proponent of Game Pass, along with like Mike Rose. I think probably a lot of people in the chat know who Mike Rose is. He's been outspoken proponent of Game Pass. All of his games are showing up in Game Pass. But Thomas Sala came out and talked about how good it's been to him and how it's massively, the stuff that we've talked about, massively, it's proven through the stats, and he's done it himself because he's had his games in Game Pass, that players playing these indie games is when it comes into Game Pass, the numbers are astronomical compared to what that indie team most likely would see from their game if they just launch it normal to be purchased. And he said that has helped indie devs more than ever hurt them at the end of the day, and it's been great. So we've had this back and forth, but Matt wanted to talk about this guy specifically because he did jump into the Game Pass conversation and talked about it destroying so much of the industry, because he went back to the classic, which has been proven wrong, obviously, that Xbox players don't buy games. And I thought that was the worst part of what he had to say, because using that factually inaccurate statement does nothing. It just pushes a false narrative that was created by console warriors. At the end of the day, of course, do we all know that Game Pass, when a game shows up in Game Pass, it's going to sell less? Yeah, we all know that. Okay. Most of us all partake in Game Pass, but that's not the whole picture. And that doesn't mean that Xbox players don't buy games, because like a lot of us who are invested in Game Pass, that frees up a part of our budget that we would have bought that game outright that showed up in Game Pass. Instead, we got it in Game Pass, and we take that money and invest it elsewhere into another game. And that other game potentially could be an indie title. That other game could potentially be a AA game that would not get any love if I had to spend money on that other game that popped into Game Pass. So that has been proven time and time again as truth as well. Xbox has those stats internally and have talked about them. So I just thought that that was the worst part of the argument. But go ahead, Matt. You wanted to talk about this. What are your thoughts on what he had to say about Game Pass and the destruction of the industry, and basically saying that it's over for Xbox, that they can never go back again, that if they try to go away from Game Pass and get people to buy their games, well, shit, that's done and long over with. What's going on, bro?
Well, first off, real quick, shout out to Silver Afro for 5 gifted fun speculation memberships. Choo
choo, motherfucker, choo choo, because we are 4.0, and I think I did miss the one and only CEO dropping off his own bag of coal as well with 5 gifted memberships. Did you do that, Mav, too, or did you not?
Yes,
you did.
Yeah, 5
yes, you did earlier. So we're actually a Mach 4.5. Everybody keeping it ad free because we had the Silver Afro get on the court with the easy 5 layup. That's right. 5 new speculators, a brand new car added to the hype train at Mach 4.5. Thank you, Silver Afro, keeping us ad-free in 2024. That's right. Whoo, choo-choo, motherfucker. And then thank you, Mav, for getting us up to Mach 4.5 along with the Silver Afro with your own 5 gifted memberships to your own channel, adding a car to the hype train and keeping us ad-free in 2024. The goal, everybody, is now at 6,150. Got some work to do, but thank you all. Choo-choo, motherfuckers. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. First off, I think everything this guy's saying is just complete horseshit. Now, I don't know exactly who he is, but I've seen this kind of conversation before, time and time again. The industry is much bigger than Xbox. Okay, Xbox has their model within their own ecosystem. Now, are Game Pass users buying games that are in Game Pass? Some, yes. Most, I would say, probably not. But those developers are also getting money for those games being in Game Pass, right? So then the other argument, well, people are being trained just to only play the games that are in Game Pass. I buy plenty of games. I know a lot of people that still buy games, and the Xbox gamers still buy games. In general, the content and services numbers from Xbox are still showing that. Software sales are still fine. Sometimes a certain game may come out and not be a success. Sometimes there's a surprise hit, despite it being in Game Pass. Sometimes they sell anyway. Sometimes they, like, the truth is there's just so many fucking options. How many indie games do we see launch constantly? Constantly. It's a fucking, like, deluge of games all the fucking time, right? There's so many more options than there used to be. There's so much more competition in the gaming space than there used to be. Not only do you have the free-to-play games like those taking up the majority of the players' time, right? Because you have huge, massive player bases. One of the most played games out there is still fucking Counter-Strike on PC. Okay? We'll talk about time sinks. You know, hundreds of thousands of people are probably playing that right now. Like, these games, people just consistently are always playing over and over again. Is that bad for the industry? I don't know. It's harder for people to compete in certain spaces, but those companies are still making money, which is still contributing to the industry and contributing to other things. I will say sometimes what happens is a game becomes so successful that that developer only starts focusing on that one game, right? We've seen that with Rockstar, with GTA 5, lasting 3 generations now. But that being said, is that bad for the industry? I don't know. It means less options from Rockstar, but they've been really healthy overall this time. And guess what? Finally, we're going to get into GTA 6. It's probably going to be insane. Meanwhile, other companies out there are still making tons of games. So as many industry and studio closures as we've had as well, we've also seen just about as many new studios getting formed. And a lot of them are making indie games, right? Using technology, making bigger games than they ever have been possible before in the indie space. How many times did we see a random indie game just take off and become a huge phenomenon, whether it's on whatever platform? It happens. Like stuff like last year, like BattleBit Theater, yeah, or was it or not Theater? BattleBit, fucking shooter game that looks like Battlefield, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I was thinking of the fucking old 360 arcade game. Yeah.
I know what you're thinking of, but yeah.
Yeah, that game took off out of nowhere, right? You have just games of all kinds, free to play games. You have AAA games, AA games, indie games. Some are hits, and there's a lot of flops, right? It's the way it's always been. But when you have this many games, this many options, this many companies making games, it's just they're all competing for the time. And I would argue, if anything, it has affected consumer spending in the game space. It's not Game Pass saving people money. I would point to the fact that eggs are fucking expensive as shit. like gas, like the economy. Oh, we got no data. Oh man, are we there, guys? Are we back? Okay, I think we're back. Yeah, I would point to the economy, just like overall, like the cost of food, the cost of like just living every day has gone up so much, and maybe a lot of people just have a little bit less extra to spend on some things, and they're taking advantage of these other games that are honoring their time more. So it's just an option. It's a competitive industry. And I think sometimes some of these developers or publishers for a lot of these indie games will have some failures, and they're looking for a culprit. It's easy to look around and point the finger at somebody to blame when you're having a failure, when you're having a lack of success, right? And it's easy to point the finger and say, hey, praise when you have a success. Ultimately, it's a hard industry. It's a healthy industry that's going to be like changing and transforming with innovation and tech, different access models, all these other kind of things. As things keep pushing forward, we'll be playing games 25, 30 years from now with different models than are even being talked about today. And there's not stopping it, because it's the way technology and innovation is going to go. It's just what happens. So people are fighting against all this kind of stuff, talking about how it's ruining things, ruining this. Talk to the developers that have had successes in these same forms of access or outside of it, because his argument is that the game can't be successful unless it's in Game Pass on Xbox. That's just absolutely fucking bogus, right? So across the board, we've seen opposite for a long time, and we're going to continue to see that. So I think it's sometimes people are looking to find a culprit for a problem that doesn't exist, maybe sometimes because of their own failures.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, and like I said, behind the scenes before we started the show, we were talking about this a little bit too. You know, it's interesting that the perspective sometimes comes from younger devs as well,
Yeah.
who got into this industry when it's now at its peak of popularity and its biggest moment. And it's kind of crazy to me as an indie developer, right? That if I wasn't an indie developer, that I could create a game that puts me on the same level as Call of Duty, or even goes beyond Call of Duty. Like,
Yeah.
I could create I have the opportunity nowadays. And some of these younger devs, while I'm sure most of them are aware of the history, when they speak from on these perspectives, right? A lot of times they don't have the experience of what it was like back in the day. Again, I grew up without indie devs ever existing in my life,
Right.
for generations.
Those were the
console.
game companies that
Right.
had just less employees, right? Those were like
Right.
the main publishers. They just didn't have the development teams
Yes.
were a lot smaller back then.
Right. And
Yeah.
we've now gotten to the point where this dude, who is obviously a developer, is an indie developer, is out here, has a social media presence, and has the opportunity to have a company, a $1 billion company like Xbox, show up at his door and knock. Hey, we really like what you got going on there. We got this idea at Xbox program. In fact, we're going to help
Yeah.
you get started with a ton of resources, right? And we're going to help you get started.
Oh, you
But
need a death
we
kit?
like
Here you
to
go.
Yeah. We like you so much. We've brought along a briefcase full of cash for you and your small team. If you want to go ahead and put your game in Game Pass, we'll give you this up front for your game. And you get to keep this no matter if you sell 1 copy or if you sell 5,000 copies or 100,000 copies. You get to keep this cash. But if you do happen to sell more, you're still going to get a cut of that as well from us, like you normally would, like depending on how they structure this deal. Like the fact that he has this opportunity to develop a game nowadays and get the notice of some of the world's largest publishers, including Xbox, including PlayStation, right? Including 2K, 2K is shutting down theirs, but including EA. The fact that he has the opportunity and it doesn't cost him nearly anywhere as much as it used to get into game development, because things like Unreal Engine 5, right? And he can create a game that goes toe to toe with AAA titles now made by hundreds of people. Like that opportunity only exists because of things like Game Pass coming along, pushing the industry in different directions, along with a lot of other ideas that came along through the generations to make this industry as big as it is, where, yes, it has always been high risk. Even back in the day, it was high risk. It's always been a high risk industry, whether you're a big publisher or a small indie team, to jump into this industry. But you now have so many advantages coming in as an indie developer that were never there just a decade and a half ago. Like, to me, it's crazy to think about that and then come out and say, yeah, but Xbox is destroying, is part of the reason why the industry is getting destroyed, because Xbox players just don't buy any games. When we just have example after example of indie titles on Xbox, not only getting the Xbox Game Pass bag up front, but also selling extremely well. Or we have examples of games like Hypercharge that just came out, and people can make fun of it all day long. Dude's over 100,000 copies sold on a dream that he had, that he started whatever it was 7 years ago or whatever, and he just had a dream. And he didn't even have the schooling per se to be a dev, but he really wanted to make a game, and he made it happen. And now he's sold over 100,000 copies. Yeah, he didn't get the bag for Game Pass, but he certainly got the exposure. Why? Because ID at Xbox tagged him, because Sarah Bond herself took notice of this dude. This dude self-promoted all over social media like hell, to the point where Mav wanted to mute his ass. But he did that on his own. Where back in the day, he would never have been able to walk into a Best Buy or any brick and mortar store and go, hey, I got this really cool superhero game called Hypercharge. I worked really hard on it. I just need one little space on your shelf to put my... They would have told him to go take a flying fucking leap. But nowadays, you can do it. Anybody can do it. Right? And yes, it takes talent. It takes obviously a ton of passion. It takes heart. It takes sacrifice. It takes everything that goes into making a video game. But the fact that these little indie devs now have any chance whatsoever to compete on the same level as the big boys do, and get exposure like some of the big boys do. And it's not always going to be like that, right? Not every indie title gets that, right? They go on Steam. There's tens of thousands of indie titles that are released every single year on Steam. Yeah, a lot of them get buried, never get noticed. But you hear about 20, 50, 100 nowadays indie titles that get promoted on Steam that people are talking about that you never would have heard of back in the day. you never would have even seen, now get seen and have relative success. I think that he's kind of missing that whole point of it right now in some of his comments towards specifically this time. But just in general, because again, he has written about other parts of the industry that he doesn't like, that he thinks is destroying it. Dude can still go out here and make a game tomorrow and still be around and still make a lot of money. And even if he doesn't make a lot of money, he can have enough success to make another game. And that just wasn't the case back in the day. There was none of that opportunity. So, and all of that stuff he's talking about, again, my main point of this was all the stuff he's kind of talking about is the reason why the industry is to the point where people like him have a chance at doing that. So I think you're kind of biting the hand that feeds you when you come out and make comments like this, because again, the industry, while not perfect, while certainly still high risk, while certainly dominated by the bigger stuff a lot of the time, there's still a lot of opportunity here now.
If you go in like the Xbox store, just the amount of random games you never heard of before and stuff just showing up. You know how hard it is to get noticed, like as a indie developer with a new game or whatever. Like, yeah, Game Pass can do that for them. Again, if your argument is that their games only matter if they're in Game Pass, like, I don't know, man. I've seen plenty of games get noticed that aren't in Game Pass too, and they take off. It's just so saturated that it's hard to do so. And you know what? Every ecosystem is going to be slightly different. A Game Pass has nothing to do with the lack of sales on PlayStation. You know, like it's
not like indie PlayStation games are selling off the wazoo. Like, it's
right?
Not like they're over there just crushing millions.
Oh yeah,
because there's no
if you
Game
had an
Pass
indie, you know, you want to put it on PlayStation, you're going to sell a shit ton of indies on PlayStation. Like, really, if you think about it, indie games really got their start taken off in the console space on fucking Xbox. And the Xbox 360 store, when they started pushing Xbox Live Arcade. Yep. And again, not every game out there was highlighted in the same kind of way that they did others, right? It was up to the developers to be able to try and make a game good enough and also market it with their publisher or whoever to get that exposure. Like, to blame the consumers for being like trained too much by Game Pass that they don't want to buy games anymore. That's just kind of like a bullshit statement in general. It's just another access point. I've been buying games. Sometimes I'll even double dip on some. I'll go buy one on PC or buy on Xbox because it doesn't have crossbuy or whatever. Like, it just depends on what I want to play. And guess what? There's so many fucking options. There's so many options. Like, there's never running out of stuff to play. There's never running out of stuff to play right now. And if you're an indie developer, that's the situation you're coming into. And it's not because Game Pass. It's just because, there's just look at the storefronts, all of them. You got to stand out. You got to make a game good enough. And you got to have it marketed well enough to be able to reach out and find the consumers. Right? Just like any business. If I go start a random company has an oversaturated market, it has a crap ton of competition, it's going to be harder than if it's a smaller kind of industry that's kind of up and growing for the first time. You know, like, it's always hard when you're doing this kind of stuff, but these developers do it because they believe in what they're doing, they have a passion for it, and they want to be successful. So I don't necessarily blame them if they feel like spurned or upset if they have failures. But it's not because Xbox gave consumers a different access point. You know what I mean? Like, it's contradictory too. Like, it's never going to be successful. It's not enough consumers are even using Game Pass or whatever like this. Like, really? Like, so I see so many people talking out of both sides of their mouth all the time about this stuff. Like, ultimately, it's up to the consumers to decide where, how much they want to spend, and what they buy. and you have to be attractive enough to attract that. And Game Pass isn't in your way.
No, competition is more in your way than anything else
Yeah.
is right now. Just because, like you said, there's just so much content, man. I mean, there's so much. Like I said, go look at Steam. If you really want to see the
Fuck.
indie scene, you have to go to PC. Like it's ridiculous. Like when I go to Steam, like I have a wish list of over 100
Yeah.
games, I think approximately right now. Like legitimately, probably a third to a half at least would be considered indie titles. And there's stuff that's not coming to console. And I've picked up so many games already on Steam that are indie games that are not on console yet. Like there is just so much competition. That's more so the problem nowadays. Like I said,
so much.
There's more opportunity.
It's over.
Ever.
It's saturation. It's the goal. That's the goal. What the golden age is. Though. Saturation, Brand. It's better for consumers, worse for the businesses.
Right.
That's what as consumers, like, we want them to compete and it to be fucking hard for them to earn our money. Yep. We don't want it to be easy and they just like be able to charge whatever they want and do whatever they want. Like we as consumers, we should want them to feel the pressure of needing to find ways to earn our time and earn our dollar.
Right.
And that's where the industry is for it. And guess what? There's so many fucking options. So many options.
Yep.
Love it.
It's a curse and a blessing. It's a curse and a blessing. It's basically what it comes down to.
If you talk about layoffs or developers and the studio closures and stuff like that, but then you have new studio startups and you have, it's kind of like bubbles and swells, right? Like they grow, they pop, they come back and start over again and ride these waves and transitions of models and access points and value propositions and all these different things always changing. There was a time before Fortnite existed, right? There was a time before rental services existed. There was a time before gaming subscription services existed. There's a time before the cloud existed, right? Like all these things are changing the way we access and play games. There's a time before tablets and mobile devices existed, and that's the biggest fucking market in video games, period. It's always going to change and evolve and grow in different ways. It's just that it's not necessarily going to be the best for your personal situation and how you play games or what you want, right? Like overall, like we'll still be playing games 30, 40 years from now. It's just not going to be the same industry that it is today.
Yep.
And if it's got to ride that wave and find out how to fish in it, man. I mean, that's just the way the business is.
I agree.
Sorry, I have no sympathy for him.
No, there's more opportunity than ever before, but it's harder too because you got to battle more people. But again, that's the give and take. That's the curse and the blessing. It is what it is. But back in the day, guy like him never would even had a shot. Yeah. He would have had to join some company to even had a shot. And back then, there was no guarantee he could have even found a company that was hiring back then in the gaming industry. Like again, it's
the ability for people to create a game and get it places for people to buy is better than ever. So many different options, man. It's a risk for you to take upon that yourself to take that journey. And to look at culprits of like, hey, this is the reason why these things aren't selling, or this is fucking stupid. It is.
Yep. Anyway. Agreed. Well, Mavo, it's a little after 9:30. You got anything you want to touch on?
No, I'm good, man. We kind of ran the gamut.
We did. I mean, there's always small little things, but again, there's nothing really moving this week.
Shout out to Dirt.
Shout out to Dirt. Chat. Oh, did he? Shout out to Dirt, brother. Riggedy. I don't get to listen anymore to WBG, but man, I miss you guys. I miss being on with you guys. For anybody who doesn't know, I've been on WBG a lot. So is Mav. So love Dirt and those bros over there, man. We Believe Union is a good crew over there. They have a lot of fun. So, and they go after the clowns, which I love. So, yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot. Again, there's been the rumors Modern Warfare 3 is dropping in the Game Pass shortly. Crash Bandicoot trilogy, supposedly possibly coming in August. So we're starting to hear hints about all this stuff. It's going to eventually happen. Again, I think they had this lined up where they plan to announce that stuff and then tell us about the price increase and the different tiers. But they didn't get to do that. So this is all out of whack now. But we're going to get news, I'm sure, on some of that ABK stuff showing up in there. No, don't everybody. Speaking of Game Pass, again, Neon White dropped tonight. Go check that out. That was an award-winning title, indie title, as well. It's a runner with cards, frenetic type
Yeah.
pacing. Like, I can't wait to try it. I don't know if it's gonna be for me, but I want to try it out because it looks dope. The animation style is so cool. But next week, don't everybody forget Kunitsugaमी, Path of the Goddess, next week, July 19th, coming into Game Pass. I'm telling you, if you didn't play the demo, the game is beautiful. The game is already polished. It plays extremely well. It's no risk. Even if you go, oh, I don't like tower defense, I really don't like RTS. Like, this has a mix, a blend of a few different genres. Go try it. It's worth your time to download it and just check it out for yourself. Don't have to listen to reviewers. Don't have to listen to anybody else. Again, I played the demo. I was sold in 45 minutes. So go check it out. For sure.
Age of Mythology Retold's getting the closed beta. Also, July 12th. Tomorrow, right? So
yep, starting tomorrow.
That's for 3 days. 12th to the 14th.
Yep.
Is that for
you could,
Game Pass users, or
that's what we talked about in the beginning of the show, right? So so no, if you buy so originally came out that you had to buy the Ultimate Edition, right? That you had to buy the Ultimate Edition, you could jump into the beta. Then people started asking, what about the Game Pass users who buy that premium upgrade path, right? And there was no confirmation, but then they did confirm that if you buy if you're just going to play the game through Game Pass, but you buy the premium upgrade, then you can also get the beta. Yes. So, so anybody interested in Age of Mythology, you can jump into that if you're planning on pre-ordering or buying.
If you're a PlayStation Plus user, you get to play Concord.
You do. They expanded that. Good idea from PlayStation. I'll give them props on that one. It needs as much help as possible right now with the reception that it's received. So for anybody who doesn't know, Concord, they are going to allow the PlayStation Plus subscription to jump into the beta and play. So they're opening it up a little bit more to give some more people.
Is it for extra or plus tiers, or is it for essentials?
I don't know if it was just limited or not, or if they just said everybody. Concord. Let's see if I can get a quick answer to that. Early access to the beta for all PlayStation Plus members.
Okay. That's maybe I'll dive in. Maybe I'll check it out.
I'd be interested to hear your comments on it.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna try it, so yeah, I think that's pretty much it, Mav. I don't really have anything else. Anybody interested? Because we know the Call of Duties, the older Call of Duties, are going to be dropping into Game Pass soon. Charlie Intel, shout out to Charlie Intel, put out that Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare's Variety Pack DLC is free to own on the Xbox 360 game store right now. So may want to go check that out.
Yeah,
because it's free. So normally costs money. Go download that. So you're ready to rock and roll when it comes out. Oh, Greedfall 2. A lot of people are looking forward to Greedfall 2. Is got a release date. And it will be in Steam early access on September the 24th. Weird that they're doing this early access thing with. I'm appreciative of it. I want more companies to do early access. If they're not ready to launch full, go with the early access. Give people a chance to help you build it out. It's just that they're changing Greedfall so much in a lot of ways from the original that they are doing this early access, but I may be hopping into that since it is going to be early access. We'll see. Interesting. I can't wait to see what they've done with it. I think I'm trying to think if anything else really came about.
Yeah. There's nothing really substantial. Yeah. There's the Transformers stuff, but we already talked about that earlier this week. So
yeah. So, go check out this game, Black State. The trailer came out yesterday. IGN made a post about it. I know I hate IGN, blah, blah, blah. Again, I hate IGN too, but I still use them because they have access that nobody else does. Go check out the trailer for and it's got gameplay in it for this Black State. It's from developer Motion Blur, and it's a third person. It's a Metal Gear-esque game. So if you're into Metal Gear, and somebody said Metal Gear, or they said Metal Gear mixed with Portal, go check out how beautiful that. Again, we were just talking about smaller teams, indie devs, man. We're talking about these teams making games like this that you would think are AAA. We don't know how it's going to play, but just from pure looks, go look at this game. you would swear that it had to be coming from a big team. That it had to be coming from a massive, well-known team for just the way it looks. This is what's incredible. I looked at this trailer. I'm like, man, think about the stuff that we're getting. Even like the First Descendant coming from a team, right? In the East, it again, UE5 shooter. Like it's not supposed to work, but it works and it's beautiful. Like there's sections that are absolutely beautiful. But man, this Black State, go check this out. I'll throw the link up there for you guys if you guys want to check it out. It looks just cool as hell, man.
It's one of those I'm going to be like a little skeptical on for now,
of course,
just because
how many times we got to be proven wrong.
Right, Dark Sector. It like the character looks like he's from Dark Sector. You remember that game?
It looks like the same. I love Dark Sector, bro.
It looks like the same guy, but sometimes I'm a little skeptical when like these devs come out and put out something for the first time for. Like who is this team, you know, and what are they doing? And
we did that with like, Black Myth Wukong, and it's looking real, right?
Right. That one is, but there's other games that have not been.
But we're getting more that are.
Yes,
First
we are.
Descendant people question First Descendant. Steel even questioned First Descendant when we first saw it. He was like, dude, it looks really good. It looks like it's something I'd be interested in, but is that real? Like, is that we're gonna get that kind of look? Sure enough, we did. I'm just saying, man, it's crazy what tech's doing right now. It's eating the playing field so much. Omi told me, good to see you. Hey, you guys, let's go. Yeah, I think that's it for the night. I think we're gonna wrap it up there, unless Mav's got something else he wants to run.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that game because it does look awesome. But
it does look awesome.
Yeah,
we'll go check it out. I did throw the YouTube link in there so you guys can go check it out after the show. Well worth your time just to watch it because it looks fucking cool, man.
Yeah, it's a compliment when I say it looks too good to be true from a small team.
100%.
So
well, everybody, great to get back in the chairs again. Great to have finally have an episode of PM in the PM after a couple weeks off. Listen, y'all, appreciate y'all coming back out here again and watch us over 100 again consistently on these Thursday nights. And even after a couple weeks off, you guys come back to see me and Mav do this BS. Just have a good time. Try to have a good time. Talk what we want to talk about. Catch up on the week. We love you all. Again, whether you're here for 5 minutes or the whole time, it's all the same. Nothing but love and respect coming in here. The extra stuff, again, never expected, but always appreciated. Again, thank you all for coming back to see us. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and we should be back next week as well. But let's get everybody out of here. So, Mav, Xbox Ultimate tomorrow night. What else are you going to be doing, brother? What we got?
Oh, we got Xbox Ultimate. So I'm sure we'll be talking a little bit more about this. I'm hoping we get some other news as well to talk about. But yeah, we'll get some other of the panelists' thoughts on Game Pass and what they're doing, as well as, man, I want to find some interesting other topic tomorrow. Like, I want to have some fun as well, because like it's just like I've already talked this out, you know, but
I know
it is what it is. So we'll have some fun tomorrow. We'll try and make it a fun show. But besides that, yeah, I'm just gonna be diving in, playing whatever, and then we'll be back Monday for FSP, and then here Thursdays for PM in the PM, and maybe if there's some more news randomly, get another Mavcast.
Yeah,
it usually takes something to happen for me to do that, you know.
Yeah, when I heard the news, I was like, oh, I bet you Mav's jumping.
Yeah, but I wasn't like raged or something, you know. It's like sometimes people want to rant or whatever, and it's like,
you've had those.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I almost like that guy's tweet almost prompted me to do that. I was thinking about it.
Doesn't take much sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, can I ask how? Okay, knowing you guys now for nearly 4 years, right? We've played a lot of games together. We've had lots of conversations, right? Tons of different talks, right?
Yeah.
Real life, video games, everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
How the hell did I never know that Caitlin is a Duke Nukem fan?
Oh yeah, she's a huge Duke Nukem fan, bro. What? She knows where everything is in Duke Nukem.
She just made a post. She's replaying Duke Nukem 3D.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Dude, the first time,
there are more layers to that woman than I ever know. Like
the
that's
first
crazy.
time I played that with her, she like, oh, you got to go over here to get. I'm like, what the fuck?
What?
Who are you?
She's like, Duke,
Yeah.
Nukem. Like, out of
Yeah.
all things. Like,
Yeah,
Duke
she's like, she
Nukem.
knows all the secrets. She knows everything, bro.
And yet she hadn't watched a ton
Yeah.
of like the 80s and 90s action flicks, but she's a freaking Duke Nukem
Oh,
fan.
she loves it.
Which-
yeah.
Bro, that no wonder why she is liking some of the stuff you were showing her movie-wise, because that's Duke Nukem.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole atmosphere. That's the whole spirit of Duke Nukem. Like, that's amazing.
She
That's
also
amazing. That's
liked
amazing.
the original Wolfenstein.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like
Yeah,
she
see, find
liked
out-
Sonic. She like in the original Sonic, she knows
Yeah.
where everything is
Yep.
and stuff.
Okay.
And
Jesus, man,
yeah,
I never knew.
yeah, Duke is like one of those games we've played through a couple times together. Again, like just like sitting next to each other, or whatever, and like it's crazy how she remembers everything. Like with that.
Yeah, no shit, man. Shout out to Caitlin. That's
Yeah.
fucking awesome. I truly mean it. That's like ridiculously cool. Like that's awesome. Anyways, everybody, you know how to find me, Pong Soul, on the X, formerly known as Twitter, Pong Soul on the Xbox, Pong Soul on Steam, Pong Soul on GOG, Pong Soul on Epic, Pong Soul everywhere. Find me, I'll find you back, everybody. Otherwise, tomorrow night I should be there for Xbox Ultimate. As of right now, I will be. And then of course, so be there, obviously, same channel right here, the Fun Speculation Network, 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time tomorrow night. And then, of course, Saturday morning, set those alarms, set those reminders. Steele and I back again. We'll have some more First Descendant talk. It won't be as much as last week, but we want to get Steele's final thoughts, at least that he finished through the normal campaign, see how he feels about it still. But we're definitely going to be jumping into the Game Pass stuff. We'll be jumping into other stuff as well. You know how Steele and I roll. Come on through. Bring something to the conversation in the chat. You never know. We pick up on a lot of that and wind up going off for a half hour to an hour long in a way direction that we had no idea we're going. So join me and Steele Saturday morning, living split screen. Split screen's all one word, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3+ hours. Buckle up for that one. We're going to have a fun time Saturday morning. We always do. And then, of course, Saturday night, the best way to end your Saturday night has been back for the past couple weeks. The Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel. That's right, Blam, Fuzzy, myself, and we usually have a guest or two. I don't think Blam's announced guests yet this week, but I'm sure somebody will be there. Join us at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. Have us on in the background while you're playing those vids. It's just a chill time. Chill time with a lot of good conversation. So be there for the Shop Podcast. Saturday night. Next week it starts all over again. Tuesdays, Xbox Factor, Double Barrel Gaming, Boomstick, the man. He was in chat earlier too. Boom. Shout out to you if you're still listening, brother. He does it 5 days a week, but Xbox Factor on Tuesdays, special. 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Be there for that. And then, like I said, God willing, me and Mav back next week, PM in the PM, Pong and Mav in the PM, right here, Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. It's the golden age of gaming, folks. It really, really is. So please, keep enjoying all that stuff. Keep sharing it out. Ignore the BS. Play what you love. Love what you play. I'll talk to you all real soon. Mav, get us out of here, brother.
Have a good one, everybody. Take it easy, and we'll see you again. Bye.